How's it going, everybody? I'm Kyle from Fantasy Forge Studios, and we are back with some AME, some Adventures in Middle-earth, a D&D 5e campaign set in the world of Middle-earth between the years of The Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit. We're joined by our full cast today. Some have players, one doesn't yet. Maybe we'll remedy that today. So let's go ahead and just jump right in with character introductions, starting with Valinith.
Hello, everyone. My name is Dain, or Forged here at Fantasy Forge Studios. I play the character Valinith. He is a high elf of Rivendell. He is a scholar, meaning he's a healer. And yeah, we're in the thick of it. We are in the thick of it. So we'll see where it goes today.
Yeah, deep in the thick of it.
Yeah.
It's good. It's good stuff. Next, we have Theodric.
Hey everybody, I'm that Toby Australian. I play Theodric, who is our Rohan Slayer. He's currently kind of just a stable boy and like every man right now, just working for the man to try not to die to these elven psychopaths that he's found himself working for.
So he's living in a society.
AKA the man.
Yeah, he's working for the man. He's working for Elfla right now, and his band of elf Nazis, which isn't fun.
It's not fun at all, but you're hanging in there for 2 weeks. Oh, crazy.
Yep, waiting for the allies to come rescue us.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. Just look to the east on the third day. It'll be good.
But it's been 2 weeks already.
That's true. 2 weeks.
They're never coming.
He wasn't looking
Maybe
to the east, that's
instead
why.
of 3 days, it's 3 weeks. Who knows?
Who knows? Maybe this dwarf.
You
found
should,
will save
because
us
you're
all.
the War Master.
You know, I make plans and sometimes they don't follow through. But no, it's okay. It's okay. It's a party. Next we have Spider. Yes.
Yes, I am a Spider fan in the Twitch chat. In the real world, I am a grave, or as I like to think of myself, a non-sentient elf, and that is what I will be playing today.
Non-sentient elf, exactly.
Elf. Oh, sorry. Did I say elf? I meant ent.
Ent.
Because it's
Oh,
funnier that way.
there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I am a
like it.
non-sentient ent.
You're just watching from the tree line. It's good.
No, I am the tree line. That is
are
my
the tree
role in the
line.
story.
So if
I mean,
anything
we-
bad happens, you know
Become
whose
one
fault
with
it's
the
gonna be.
Mirkwood.
Thanks for warning us.
Oh, you are so welcome.
Something led Savage Taller right to us! Oh god!
Finally we have Fedor.
Hey guys, I play Feanor. He is the Mirkwood Slayer. Yeah, he's just kind of living large, going hunting, getting to know all the lads in the Nazi squad. So it's quite good, living it up. Hopefully that we can escape or find some way to leave the services of Meglin very soon.
So,
You
Let's-
will never escape the trees.
Let's hope. Let's hope.
This session, we finally leave the Mirkwood, finally having escaped the trees.
Yeah, the real prisoner was the trees. That's what we learned. Or not the prisoner, the
Real enemy.
guards. Yeah, the real enemy, the shadow in the trees. But yes, and I am Kyle. I am the lore master. I am playing with and against these players as I also narrate this world of Middle Earth that they are adventuring through. A little bit of recap for the party before we dive right in. So this band of adventurers had made their way into Mirkwood as caravan guards for a merchant named Baldur and his son Belgo. One thing led to another. Baldur was captured by spiders. He was saved from spiders, and immediately everyone was captured, to which a member of the party was lost. In the service of a wayward elf, these elves who have denied the rule of King Thranduil, and are now living their lives out in Mirkwood, claiming to gain forces in order to overthrow King Thranduil. And also, again, claiming to drive back the shadow that's within Mirkwood. They kidnapped, essentially, the party and have set them to work. And they are all doing their specific roles, their specific tasks in basically for the sole purpose of furthering Maeglin's vision of kind of elven superiority, an elven kingdom. that he seeks to reclaim. And during this time, it has been 2 weeks since the party has been in the in the services of Maeglin, and 2 weeks since, unfortunately, Jalen had passed. And so the party's spending a good amount of time on the road trying to figure out the ins and outs of who are these captors that they have, and trying to figure out ways to potentially escape from their clutches, as they are being led to the west to meet up with a band of northern men who are to serve as the bulk force of Maeglin's army in order to overthrow Thranduil's halls. And so, with this caravan, they are force marching Valineth, Theodric, Feanor, and also Baldur and Belgo, along with all of their stuff, through Mirkwood in order to give it to this King of the North, who has yet to be named. And they are, learning a little bit. Valineth is learning more about Corinthiel, specifically as his job is to serve as healer, as every now and then, actually pretty much every day, elves are coming in from the side patrols of Mirkwood, being wounded by spider bites, by arrow wounds, that kind of stuff. And Feanor has actually been under the tutelage of the hunters. So Nornir is the main hunter in the group, and he's been essentially training how to navigate the woods, so when they do meet up with the northern men, he can help guide them through the woods towards Thranduil's halls. And Theodric, I don't know if it's been mentioned here or there, but they don't like people very much. Theodric and Baldur and Belgo has been essentially designated to serve as servants to the elves. Theodric taking care of the basically the horses and the Baradrock and the ponies, and kind of keep in charge of the caravan, where Baldur and Belgo are to serve kind of hand and foot everything that they can to the elves that are in their service, essentially. And so the group has kind of figured out what's going on. Theodric has been hearing rumors of some unhappiness that has been going on within the camp. Valineth has been figuring out that maybe there's some deeper meaning behind Corinthiel, and Feanor is also figuring out that maybe the service that the Northmen aren't necessarily in Maeglin's service. And with that, at the very end, the last thing that happened after last session was Feanor was making his way through the woods with Nornir, and he stumbled upon a familiar face, the haggard face of a dwarf by the name of Bori. So go back to session 0 if you don't know who Bori is. But we're going to go ahead and just, hand it off right there in this specific moment. So to reset the scene, Feanor and Nornir were hunting in the woods just off the northern path of the elf path, and they have kind of gained each other's trust, and they just had this long, deep conversation about Maeglin. Maybe he used to not be the way he was, but there's been a change in him. And this is the first time that Nornir has really truly confided his feelings in Feanor, really symbolizing the trust that the two of them have built with each other. But stumbling out of the underbrush, you see this dwarf, and he essentially kind of falls into your arms, Feanor, and you see that he is bloodied and bruised. He looks like he's been through hell and back, and he looks up to you and says, "Hey, you look familiar." And he gazes deeply into you. It can't be. This Mirkwood is playing tricks on me. Is that you, Feanor? His voice is haggard. Like he does not sound anything like the joyous dwarf that you saw before. Like he is but a husk of his former self.
Feanor's gonna say, now sit still for a moment, and I'm going to move just slightly down the path that he was coming down and see if I can see or hear anything pursuing him through the underbrush.
Make an
and I kind of
investigation check.
gesture to Nornir to come up and help him.
And Nornir does. He takes a look at Bori and kind of keeps a few steps, but he's looking him over, and his wounds look pretty serious. Immediately, Nornir takes out a few cloths and bandages some of the deeper wounds, as Bori just kind of sits there in a daze. Yes, go ahead and make your...
I got an 8.
An 8. You look up, it's not really a path. You could tell that he was just kind of meandering his way through the trees. This part of Mirkwood doesn't necessarily seem to be as tainted as the southern path on the opposite side of the elf path, but you can see that it is pretty dark as it is the middle of the night, and there doesn't seem to be any rustling or anything in pursuit from your just initial lookings.
Okay. Having like secured the area, Feanor is gonna rush back over to Bori and he's going to say, Bori, where have you been? You disappeared that day. Like, have you been captured this entire time? Why are you? What has happened?
He kind of stares for but a moment, as if collecting thoughts and going over very memory after memory after memory, and he weakly struggles to speak. He says, "How long has it been, old friend? Days? Months? Years?" And his breathing is labored. You look over him, and you see that he suffered a number of wounds. A lot of them seem to be from like just wandering through the brush, cutting yourself on stones, bushes, trees. You don't see any immediate spider bites or anything of the sort on him, but you do see that there is a large gash across his shoulder blade, and it goes down basically the broad side of his arm. And this is one of those that had been bandaged up by Nornir.
Okay, while he's talking, Feanor is going to be like at one of the nearby trees for any of the smaller cuts and stuff. Basically doing what he did for Nim, where he's basically collecting sap on his blade and like rubbing them to close some of these cuts and stuff. And as much as it's not going to help, it's like a thing you do to help avoid infection.
Perfect. Yeah, you do this, and he actually doesn't even wince at any of this that you're doing. It's almost like as if he's numb to any kind of pain that is that he's feeling. He says, "Feanor, the day you left, the day I was taken, I was dragged from horseback for days, feeling every lump, every rock underneath me." And his beard is like become like patchy, and like parts of it you could tell have been shaved and like basically like regrown, almost either shaved or ripped out. You have no idea, but it's like all askew. And he looks to you, "But Feanor, our captors, they were merciless." And he closes his eyes in memory. "They inflicted pain and torment upon us day after day." And he pauses when he says "us." From the looks of it, it's not just him who was held captive. "We were accused every day of being spies for some kind of council, enemies to the rule of our captors. Their paranoia."
Sorry, who had you? I cannot help unless I know who it was that did this to you.
Wicked men. Under a
Was it men from the north?
They called him King of the North. And he kind of just like shudders, and as he begins to cower, his name was Vigland. Here, listen to the words I speak. They say we were being accused day in, day out, claiming to be some kind of council opposed to his rule. There were a number of us. Other men, dwarves, even elves. We were all kept chained. There wasn't a moment that went by that I couldn't hear the screams of those being interrogated. And more every day, new members would come in. We were faced to either join the new king, Vigland in his rule of the north, or to remain captives under his rule. They were paranoid, Vigland, ruthless. I saw no sign of trust from anybody in his eyes. Interrogations. They were relentless. They sought to extract these confessions that were not to be found. A number of us crumbled, unable to take the beatings day in and day out, but me. I had within my heart hope that one day that I could escape. In that wretched camp, I beheld the sight that tore at my very soul. Men and dwarves once proud and free, reduced to broken shells. Screams of agony echoed throughout the night. Suffering that pierced my heart even to this very moment. I cannot forget. We were given the choice, Vaynor, but I did not bow. He is not my king. The only king I bow down to is King Under the Mountain. I held my resolve. You notice that he actually isn't in the same clothing that he was in when the last you had seen him. He was essentially dressed in rags from someone who was much larger than him that had been cut down to kind of fit his stature and size.
While he's been talking, I've taken off the cloak that I wear and wrapped it around him and been giving him water from the water skin and stuff. And like I said, applying more sap to cover more and more cuts just while he's been talking.
He drinks gratefully, as you do, and actually, as he does, it's you can immediately see that color begins to return to him, as if he had been dehydrated for some time. This has very much helped just this simple offer of water.
Save your strength, friend. We're going to take you back with us to our group. Nornir, I think Maeglin will want to hear how this king in the north has been treating our own kin.
He takes a look at Bori and then looks at you. Again, his face completely veiled, but you can tell in his eyes that there's a hint of sadness. And he says, indeed, I do find, though, we should probably try to gather as much information from him before he does see Maeglin. I mean, you have seen how he's treated your companions. Clearly, this dwarf has been through a lot. I would like to think that Maeglin would be understanding of such a situation, but just the other day, we saw how he dealt with that man that's in the back of the caravan.
Believe me, it's not the first thing I want, but I cannot leave him here. And I cannot abandon my companions to make sure he makes it safely through the woods.
You, Feanor. Your actions are noble, and the fact that you are willing to put yourself back in danger, willing to put, for the sake of a friend. I will do my part to make sure no harm befalls this dwarf, but Do understand, Feanor. Many of the things that Maeglin does these days are out of my hands. I have no control over his outbursts. Do know, it may be wise to not hint that this dwarf, you know this dwarf in any way. Maeglin uses people in order to get what he wants. The less attachment you have to this dwarf, well, I will say, probably the safer he will be.
Aye, that is true. Have you seen how he keeps Belgo nearby at all times? I think it's the only thing that's actually keeping my companions in check. A smart move. Ruthless. Smart.
He's been
Sorry
around
if I
for
bring you
quite
back-
some time. And I will say, while he's become more ruthless, his judgments, well, they do remain clear. He's just as vigilant as he ever was. But there's a vengeance that, unfortunately, seems to fill his very being. Note that if we are to bring this dwarf back, and he says, what is his name?
His name is Bari. He was a companion of mine that traveled with me on the elf path nearly a year ago.
And Bori, he bows his head slightly as he kind of reclines back in kind of a sitting position. At your service. And he bows his head just very little. And he says, Bori, you're going to be coming back with us. The elf that we serve will not look upon you kindly. Know that. If you keep quiet and you stay in line, I won't say that you haven't found yourselves in the hand of new captors, but I will say that you will live another day. You can't find trust in me. You can't find trust in the other elves amongst yourselves. The only thing that you can do is be honest and quiet when you're not spoken to. And he has this kind of like stern coldness to him. And Bori, it seeps in, and he has a little understanding. Aye. Out of the frying pan and into the fire, I guess.
At least we have been reunited, friend. It is good to see you. A face of someone I thought lost. I am in this, as you said, in the fire with you. I am also a captive. Not held by chains or cages, but by the bonds that I have to others.
Aye. But it is these bonds which we fight for, isn't that true? It is our purpose
Yes.
for living and carrying on. Come close, Feanor. And as he needs a couple more minutes to rest. He's been walking for days. And as you lean down, he kind of grabs you by like the collar and he pulls you closer. I was only able to escape because of the kindness of others. I take this, even though I'm in the hands of new captors. I see that you, my friend, and this elf. This is the first kindness that I've been treated with in some time. Rely on that kindness, my friend. I will do what I can to make sure we see our ends. Not here in the Mirkwood, but far off into the future. You see, the only reason I was able to be set free, it was during a bleak night. I had just finished being interrogated. I was kept in one of the holding tents. I remember the moon hid behind the thick canopy, but it was strong enough to be able to show a vision. Shadows cast on the tent. I saw figures sneaking from behind. There was a small raiding party. It was strange. They appeared no different from our captors. Save for a young woman. She carried a spark of defiance within her eyes. The same spark I saw in your eyes long ago. And he looks and he squints. The same spark I see in yours today. She whispered to me. Her voice. A balm to my battered spirit. And he shakes his head. She urged me to keep silent and to flee into the woods. Me and a few others. I was the only one who made it this far. These woods are unforgiving to those who don't know the ways of survival. I did what I could to help, but their spirits were broken and our bodies were even more. And he shrugs kind of essentially clothes from his back, and you can see that there are very clear, deep, somewhat healed lashes that had been essentially struck upon his back. And as I fled, I could only think of her words following a command. This one command to run. I ran as if the very hounds of Mordor were on my tail. And so, my journey through this endless maze of darkness, it began. I don't know how much time has passed since then. I don't know how much time has passed since I've seen you, friend. But I was lost amidst the trees. It's treacherous out here. I fought tooth and nail for survival, battling only the beasts that lurked in the shadows. But I also battled the demons that haunted my mind. This forest speaks to me in my dreams. It sucks my hope, till I see only darkness. Each day was a desperate struggle, a reminder of the darkness that sought to consume me. But here, I sit before you, friend. My dear friend. Yes, my body is weakened. My spirit is tested. But I have emerged from that hopeless place, Feanor. You're the hope that I've been seeking. There's a light upon you. One that dispels the dark that is around me. The memory of those who suffered alongside of me. Those dwarves, men, and elves. That is what fueled my soul this past time. Our friendship, Feanor. The bonds we forged through battle. They're unbreakable. And let this tale of mine be a testament to that. The strength that lies within us. Let's cherish this moment together, Feanor. We don't know what will be our last, and we will keep fighting for such a time. Where we don't have to worry about darkness anymore. I feel my time draws near, but I do find hope in you. I will push through for you, my friend. He sits in silence.
It's in dark times that I think of the words that a friend said to me. She was dear to me, and I lost her very recently. But she sang a song. For all those lost in darkness, for all who never wake, for all who drown in shadow, our resolve must never shake. And I'm sorry, my friend, that I must ask you to continue holding out, to keep holding on to that resolve. I will be there for you. If push comes to shove, you're like a brother. And I'll do anything to keep you safe.
Brothers in arm, Feanor. My axe is yours to serve, my friend. He doesn't have an axe with him.
And then after he says that, I'm like, well, now that you've seen my home, how about one day, and I gesture to the woods, how about someday you take me to yours? Jeez, the hospitality.
Ah, the hospitality of the dwarves, indeed. And he looks up at the canopy as if, like, piercing through, looking at something, and he says, "Ah, I long to see my home once again, Feanor. You know we departed together in search of Erebor. The greatest of all dwarven kingdoms. And I wish to feast my eyes upon the lonely mountain. I wish to feast my eyes upon the tomb of that who which reclaimed it. The king under the mountain, Thorin Oakenshield. That of my kin. And you, Feanor, you are my kin. If I find my way back to Erebor, Erebor is as much your home as it is mine."
Well, I've got some people that you'll be able to trust. You'll find a large human man, a large man. He's got long blonde hair, and if you see an elf of Rivendell in our company, know that you'll be able to seek out their aid if need be.
It's good to know. For now, Feanor, I am at your service, and the service of our captor. I will do what I can to make sure that I am not dead weight. And he begins to very tenderly stand, and you can tell that there is, finally, the pain has begun to catch up with him to a degree. As he lifts his body up, and he puts his arm basically like grasping yours. Lead the way, friend.
Okay, I'm going to start to lead him back towards where the wagon is. But along the way, it's like I'm just going to be asking him general questions like, where was he out in the fields, like beyond like Mirkwood? Was like, how large was the encampment that he was at? Like general questions, just trying to gain a little bit of insight and information about where in general he was.
As you do so, you do find that he doesn't remember anything past being surrounded by wood. Based off of his descriptions, nothing as dense as where you are in Mirkwood, but he was in a forest encampment for the entirety of his captivity.
Sorry, well, I think there's some buzzing maybe coming through from your end. Just letting you know.
Hello, are we good?
Yes. Yep, that's good.
Cool.
Oh, good. But yeah, so he was in a forest encampment. So
Yes.
okay.
Yes. And so, with that, he, essentially he was, pretty much kept there for a time. He had a bag placed on his head when he was taken. And so all he remembers was days of travel being dragged by essentially horses. And with that, you find yourselves, 1 second. And with that, he found himself basically like 4 months on end trapped in the forest. And so that's where he's at, so.
Okay, cool. As we are starting to approach the wagon, I am going to turn to ask Nornie. It's like, how should we approach bringing our new captive? Should we have him restrained? Should we have him between us, leading the way? You know, I'm not, never been one to capture someone before.
For situations such as this, and he pulls out from his belt essentially shackles, the same shackles that were on you. Bori, this is for formality's sake. You are a captive at this point. From here on out, you do not speak out of line. Lord Maeglin, he doesn't look kindly upon those who oppose his rule, and he will not look kindly upon you, unfortunately. So, only spoke when spoken to. Only speak when spoken to. Feanor and I will lead the way. You do so, and you make your way into the encampment. Theodric and Valinith, you're immediately alerted to the attention of Feanor, carrying a dwarf. What are your immediate reactions as this is happening?
Valinith sees he's hurt, so he rushes to help him. That's what he does.
Theodric,
Oh, a patient!
Theodric is going to amble along behind them. Just be like, "Oh, wonderful, a dwarf. Meglin's gonna love this." Like,
As
more
you
non-elves.
As you approach Valinith, I'm assuming, Theodric, that you're kind of pulling up the rear a little bit. But Valinith, as you approach, actually, Nornir, he turns around and he holds his hand up to you.
Okay.
You'll have your time with our new prisoner. But in the meantime, he is stabilized. We'll bring him to you in Caranthiel after he meets Maeglin.
Valinith nods and he's just like, "Where are you all finding all these haggard people? This is a little bit ridiculous."
Well,
don't you think?"
Valinith, I am quite the excellent tracker, so you know,
I'm not
stuff like this just
disagreeing with
falls
you,
into
but
my lap.
I feel like normal cases, these people would be long gone at this point. I don't know how they're surviving this, especially spending this time in the woods alone with all these spiders about.
Well, he seems like quite a stocky one, and I give him like a little bit of a poke, and I'm like, who knows? Maybe he just had the fortitude to hold off the effects of the woods.
Oh, I guess so.
Make a perception
What?
check for me, Feanor.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Natural 20 for a 23.
Nornir gives you a wink of approval.
Nice.
Well, we gotta take him to Maeglin so that Maeglin can ask his questions and decide what to do with the prisoner. Nornir, Valinith, Theodric, I'll see you soon. And
Nornir
I'm gonna
turns to both you and Theodric and says, "As you were."
What was I doing, Valinith? He goes back into his tent.
Just staying there, like, I could have sworn I was in the middle. Oh no, I just know what it's gonna be, and over in the corner, like a pot of tea's just like going cold.
Are
As
we,
he's like,
are we still
The
treating
amount
the
of
crazy guy,
times.
the crazy man?
Oh yeah,
Or is
he's
he
in,
lo-
he's
amount
in the
of
back of the
times.
wagon, but he's actually gotten to the point where currently he is sleeping, so he is not making any noise at the
Nice.
moment.
Nice. I like that.
hard to travel through the woods when all you hear is, ah!
I feel so bad for him. Poor guy.
Theodric, make a perception check for me.
Okie dokie. That is a 18.
So the elf that was currently at the front of the caravan that was keeping an eye on everything was Taladir. You will remember him as the one who is disapproving of Maeglin and everything that's going on right now. Or
treasonous boy.
specifically his tasks of being watched. You leaving your post, he has not made any effort to stop you.
Neat. I'm gonna just kind of walk back past him, and as I pass, I'll be like, You know, for such a large forest, we seem to be stumbling across a lot of strays.
Taylor Deer, he kind of scoffs. Well, this is perhaps true. Well, perhaps there is fortune has turned on us, I would have to say. Most of the people that we come across are travelers on the elf path. It is very strange finding those lurking in the shadows, but Lord Maeglin has done a good job of training the elves here in the company to be able to find any potential threats. And you seem to have started to fit right in. What was your name again?
I'm Theodric Grimborn. And as one who was raised to be part of the army, it's, taking orders is kind of what I was trained to do.
And this is exactly what I was trained to do as well. The two of us have, well, at least one common bond. But enough of that. Back to your tasks.
Will do. And Theodric is going to go back to the caravan and, I guess, saddle back up, get back on the caravan.
So this is an evening. So nighttime has
so
fallen.
we've
You
made
guys are
camp.
settled. Yeah, you've made camp.
Okay.
So.
Okay, well, I guess Theodric's going to just kind of peek in on Valineth and Caranthiel and see how they're doing with the crazy man we found.
Oh, can't hear you, Dain.
Oh, Theodric, is everything all right? Do you need something to drink? Is there an ailment? How's your sore buttocks, my friend?
Oh, my buttocks is fine. I'm still a bit beat up, but nothing I can't handle. How's our strange friend here doing?
He seems
the
to
one
be
that
sleeping. Luckily, he's not making a racket.
yes,
He definitely seems, and actually Valineth kind of leans in close to him, because it's the first time they've had an opportunity to talk. This man, unfortunately, he's been consumed by shadow. I'm not saying that he is of the shadow, but he's been tainted by it of some sorts. I worry a lot for him.
So he's probably been in these woods for quite a while then.
Oh, it seems different than the taint of these woods. I mean, it's not a very appealing place, but this is something darker, Feanor. Maybe it's the root of this darkness in these woods.
FYI, the thing that the two of you, so he's been in your care for a few days at this point, and the one thing that you constantly notice about him is he rambles, but he rambles to himself, and it's impossible to ignore. He talks about darkness. He talks about a green light, and he talks about a necromancer. Those are the things that you're able to get from him, and he talks about orcs as well.
I do need to tell you, Valineth. I haven't had a chance to talk to Feanor about it yet.
Yeah.
But shortly after Jalen's death, I had a dream.
A dream?
Another one of my strange prophetic dreams.
Tell me.
In it, I was captured by orcs and thrown into the back of a wagon.
I see.
But this was before we met them, but this man and the dwarf that Feanor just brought in, they were there too.
Can Valineth make any, sort of check? Like shadow lore check on this or something?
It wouldn't be a shadow lore check. It would probably be more of just a general lore check.
Okay. And he's looking for, in particular, if this is prophetic in a sense, because obviously Valineth knows and understands that Theodric has these dreams, but none of them have necessarily come to fruition. But this piques his curiosity with the fact that he recognizes these fellows who have stopped by. So this is just general lore.
Yep, just general lore.
It's a 15.
15. So what you know about dreams and prophecies, this is something that actually Lord Elrond has studied quite intensively. As an elf, you don't really have a normal sense of dreaming, but you have a sense of remembering. That's essentially what your elf dreams are. And so the thing that piques Elrond's curiosity is being able to have this ability to see into the future, where elves focus so much on seeing into the past. And so what you essentially are able to deduce from this is prophetic dreams are magical in essence, but you don't sense magic or anything of the sort coming from Theodric. This is something that he you know that he's been basically haunted by nightmares and things of the such, but this just seems like mere coincidence. Like, none of those other dreams seem to have come to fruition to a degree, but to you initially this just seems like coincidence.
Okay. Is Corinthial here as well?
No, she's not currently with you.
Okay. That's good. That's good. That's what I was gonna ask the next thing. I don't know if what this means, honestly, Theodric, but I think we should be wary. This doesn't sound like a good omen per se. And Valneth actually asks him to like rehash the dream exactly as he remembers it. Basically, you don't have to role play it and whatnot. That way, Valneth is aware of exactly what's gone on. And Valneth comments, "And you headbutted him? Wow, what a feat!"
I mean, it was a dream, but yeah.
But even still, that mongrel deserved it.
It was still just kind of unsettling, and then literally just seeing the dwarf and this old man is kind of worrying. Admittedly, in my dream, we weren't surrounded by Maeglin and his wayward elves, so not everything's the same, but I don't know. I just thought I'd let you know so you could keep your head on a swivel and
thank you for
take
that,
care.
my friend. I think we need to remain vigilant. I think we need to make sure that we remain in each other's sights, and not just us. I think we're very capable ourselves in case something goes down, but those who are less able to protect themselves.
Yes.
Alluding to Belgo.
So, how goes the healing? How are we on supplies?
I mean, it's actually incredible. Corinthial is quite an amazing elf. I don't know how she gets along so well with these wayward elves, to be quite honest. She seems like a lovely elf, in fact, and she does a great job with her work and her healing. I've learned a lot of things from it. I do sense there's something. I do sense a sadness in her, of course, and I sense it actually in a lot of these elves that I'm encountering that are constantly being brought in. I don't know what the source is, but it doesn't seem like they're satisfied with how things are going in particular.
I can't remember. Did I tell Valanth about Taladir and his words last
Briefly.
session? Briefly. I'll just say, yes, I've heard murmurings of discontent around camp. Not exactly everyone's pleased with the way Maeglin runs things. I'm just hoping that if things do go wrong, we'll be able to grab Belgo and Boulder in the confusion and maybe slip away.
I mean, I hope it's that simple. I don't know if it seems to be that simple. I
doubt it will be, but
I know you talked about these men. What of these men? You briefly mentioned to me that we're going to be delivering you to. What is this?
well, I'm not sure if we still are, but Maeglin did earlier say that he'd probably be handing Belgo, Boulder, and I over to the Woodmen.
Have you had
when
any
we got
experience with these woodmen? I'm afraid I'm very unfamiliar with them. Does it seem like you'd be better off if we somehow were handed over?
Well, from what I overheard and from what I saw of Feanor's dwarven friend, they don't seem all that friendly, so maybe? I'm not sure.
What a predicament we're in, between a
Can
rock
I
and a hard
do
place.
a lore check real quick, Kyle, to see, like,
What you know of the
how...
Woodman?
what I know of the Woodmen and their like general like relationship to the Men of Rohan.
Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead and make a traditions check for me.
Oh, traditions.
I
Okay.
will say I have mentioned to them that I lived with the Woodman for a time.
Yeah.
Like it's come up in brief things, but
Yeah, and that's why Valnith is like very, very questioning if this is a bad thing because of.
I've got a 13 on the traditions check.
13. Actually, you know that Rohan for sure because you're actually kind of in the most northern part of Mirkwood, not Mirkwood, sorry, the most northern part of Rohan. And you would be the ones to have any connection to the Woodmen, and on very, very sparse occasions do Woodmen even consider coming down and trading. You have never seen actually a Woodman outside of actually the Woodman you fought in Dale during the tournament. I guess technically you didn't fight them, but other than the Woodmen that were up there, you don't know much about them, but you do know that the history of Rohan come from these Northmen. Specifically from the ones that are furthest north basically in the Vales of Gundabad. That's where the Rohan essentially are descendants from.
Okay.
But the Woodmen themselves are kind of their own things. They're not necessarily direct like relations to Rohan. It's like the most northern people.
Okay. Well, I don't know much of the Woodmen. They're very isolationist, but many say that the Men of Rohan are descended from them. I've also heard from Radagast that they may be the origin of my blood rage. So
Oh.
who knows if all of them can do that? Because that would be terrifying and probably not a good story for King Thranduil.
I'll do my best to try to gather information on this. I know it's rare or how much actual accurate information we'll get aside from just they're humans so we hate them. But I think I trust Cranthiel enough that maybe I'll try to get some information from her about these Woodmen that we're encountering before we make any rash decisions. But in the meantime, I think it is smart for us to keep our head on a swivel and be ready for action at any moment.
Yes, I'm not sure how well these negotiations between this Woodman King and Maeglin will go if they're both so prideful.
Again, a rock and a hard place, my friend. Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Okay, well, we'll keep our head on the swivel. Again, if you ever need anything, Theodric, please feel free to reach out to me.
Am I back? Am I back?
Yes. Hey, welcome back.
Sorry guys, I'm having some internet connectivity issues as well, so I apologize. But with that, we have Romantic Gates coming back in. No, just kidding. With that, we're gonna go ahead and jump over to the tent, where underneath you see essentially Maeglin, and he's flanked by two guards. One of them is a guard that is always there with him. This is the guard that goes by the name of Calathier. And Maeglin's basically like sitting at a table. He has a map actually laid out in front of him, and he is looking very meticulously at the map and is kind of muttering to himself. The two of you approach, I guess the three of you, and Nornir says, "Lord Maeglin, we have found another prisoner." And Bori basically keeps his head like downcast, eyes downcast, and Maeglin turns his head over and looks and says, "Oh, well, what do we have here?" And he stands up and walks very casually over to Bori, and he says, takes one look at you, Feanor, and says, "And you helped with this capture?"
he was injured and he required assistance. And look, being out in the woods isn't going to be any better than anything he might be able to offer us.
Indeed. Well, you do know that dwarves are known for their various craftsman skills. They are skilled laborers that, well, perhaps he can find his place with us. Tell me, dwarf. And he takes his finger and kind of lifts up his chin a little bit and like kind of squats down with his like hands like on his knees. Tell me, dwarf, what skills can you, well, lend to the service of me? Lend to the service of the elven lords of the Wayward Elves. And Bori kind of just like looks and says, Oi. Well, I'm pretty skilled at whittling. I have my fair share of collections that I've made. Fortunately, I don't have them to be able to show you, but I can craft you anything as long as it's made out of wood. And he kind of looks, and then his eyes are downcast. Huh. And he looks back up to you, Feanor. Last I heard, Feanor, you have such a skill as this. And it has proven very useful. I say, the amount of polearms, bows, extra arrows that you've been able to help the elves be able to take hold of, not take hold of, to be able to craft. Oh my goodness, I am so sorry for my connectivity issues, but...
Good.
It's all good.
Oh,
It'd be that way
yeah.
sometimes.
Oh, Meglin, there. They say that many hands make light work, so I suppose having an assistant that I could bring back material to who could continue to make more weaponry for us would be a useful asset.
But something still remains, and he looks at kind of the wounds and stuff, the very clear wrapped wound, and he takes his knife and cuts off the bandage, the wrap that was around. Tell me, dwarf, where do you say you hail from? It's not very often I see your folk wandering around. And Bori just kind of like looks, and then he kind of like looks up to you, Feanor, for but a moment. You see, I was well, I'm from the Grey Mountains, and I was wandering through Wilderland, and I wanted to return to my people in Erebor, and he looks very nervous. Meglin's face is very stern. And, what do you see?
Feanor's actually going to say, he's like, speak clearly and cut around any of the brush. Our lord here is a man that likes things to be done swiftly with the relevant details. What are you doing here?
Make a performance check for me, Feanor. And this is going to be at advantage.
5.
5. At advantage?
Yeah, at advantage.
Oh my gosh. Now, Feanor. I appreciate it, but let our guest speak. Let's not force him to say anything that isn't truthful. Speak honestly, dwarf. I was making my way through the wood to go home to Erebor. Ah. Home. And you, Master Dwarf, seem far ways from home. Why didn't you stick to the path? Why did you wander? And I can't help but wonder. What assailed you? These wounds look freshly healed. And he looks kind of menacingly into the eyes of Bori. I'm gonna have you roll a d20 for me, Feanor.
Yep. And 11.
11. I went out into the woods to try to find something to eat. I didn't expect the journey to be as long as it was. And, you see, I got lost. And he kind of just, like, looks up. Huh. You just got lost, you say? And Maeglin squints his eyes as if trying to find any kind of deeper meaning from this. Just lost. And then a smile cracks on his face. And you have been found, my friend. But you are not of elven blood. And so your role in our company will be to serve. You will notice that there are a number of individuals here in my service that aren't of elven lineage. You will learn from them how to behave on the road. But for now, we make our way west. Sorry, it's away from Erebor. But you have a new father by the name of Lord Maeglin. And as long as you understand your place, we will not have any problems. Dwarf. He kind of gestures up to Nornir and to you, Feanor. Go take him to the healers. Caranthiel and Valineth will like to attend to his wounds. I want to use his skills as quickly as possible. As you had said, Feanor, more hands makes lighter work. And by the time that we're through these woods, I would like to double our supply of weapons in the back of the caravan. What say you?
I think it's the most efficient use of what you've been given to rule over. The skills that have been found in the woods.
Indeed. Well spoken, Feanor. Well spoken. And for the first time ever, he takes his hand and he puts it on your shoulder in approval. And he takes one kind of like long look at you. As if, again, trying to read something off of you. And then he gives you a small pat on the same shoulder. Off you go. Thank you for bringing the prisoner directly to us. We'll get our uses out of him. He will remember this.
I give a small nod and then, like, not like shoving Bori or anything, but kind of like motioning for him to like leave the tent and walking after him.
Ah! Feanor, Nornir. At least until we, until the night is through, keep those shackles on him. I wouldn't want one sneaking off in the night.
Of course, Lord Maeglin. And I'm gonna start taking him over to Valineth and Caranthiel so they can heal up my buddy.
Yep. Maeglin, he stays standing as you leave, and basically the curtain is drawn shut, and you can hear a very light, like, movement of a chair. You take him down to the tent. The healing
Why our patient? Oh my goodness, we've been champing at the bit, haven't we, Caranthiel?
Yes, indeed. Unfortunately, I've never healed any dwarven wounds. Valineth, do you have any expertise in the matter?
Oh, why, I've done all sorts of healing. Have I done any expertise in the matter? I don't know.
Well, you've trained in how to heal all kinds of wounds. I think you're confident, probably.
Yeah.
Could Feanor offer some insight from all of his time at fight clubs helping patch people up?
100%.
Yeah.
Valineth looks at his beard and sees like how patchy and like kind of weird it is. I'm like, are these wounds, or is your beard just growing funny, my friend?
Oi! And he puts his hand to his face. No, my beard does not grow like this. Indeed, I am a proud dwarf, and in time it shall regrow. And he kind of.
Not to interrupt, but can everyone hear me now?
Yes,
Yes.
we can. And you're back in the right
Finally.
spot.
Nice.
Yes. Okay. Sorry.
No, you're good. Valinith says, well, in the meantime, we would love to hear what happened to you. The full story, of course. And he looks over to Feanor, if he can. Valinith.
We found this dwarf in the woods because Caranthiel's around. Like I'm just giving like a very quick. It's like, we found this dwarf in the woods. His name is Bori. He ventured off the path and got lost and has been dealing with nature. Yes.
Nature.
Caranthiel, she's
I kind of want to
torn
give
off-
Valinith a little look.
She's
I
cut
like-
off his shirt at this point and has begun to examine the wounds on his back. It seems to be a little bit more than nature.
That's what I was about to say.
Runs kind of like her fingers down like 3 of the lash wounds and says, and he notices that actually Bori doesn't even wince as she does this. Does this hurt, my friend? And Bori says, "Aye? Oh, I didn't even know that you were touching around back there. Do be careful. My back hairs need braiding." And he jokes.
Feanor has like
He
he
laughs.
gets a smile and he's like trying to keep it like suppressed, but like he's just giving a little shake of his head and like a single like laugh comes out.
And Valinith ponders too, and he says, I mean, yes, I'd have to agree with my friend here. This doesn't seem to be nature itself. Were you attacked by orcs or something? These are definitely weapon wounds of sorts. In fact, torture weapons, it looks like, as he examines further.
Bori doesn't say anything but looks to Feanor.
Maeglin doesn't particularly care. He just wants the prisoner's wounds treated.
Okay.
The manacles are to stay on for the night. He's not allowed to be given free rein. The guard will probably be placed with him.
Can Valinith make some sort of medicine check or something to deduce like what he's dealing with, to see if he can glean any information from
Make a medicine check for me.
using his health skills to get what he wants? That is a 22.
A 22. And
22.
with that 22, you know exactly what these are. These are wounds from lashing. You've only seen these a few times, and you've noticed that these wounds actually have come from typically elves that come back from being captured by orcs. And so from all that you know, orcs cause these wounds as far as lashings and stuff go.
A chill goes down Valinith's spine as he thinks of this notion, and he begins patching up Bori. Well, good sir, you are in the best capable hands here in this forest. We will patch you up quick.
Oi. I leave myself to you. Any friends of... And he stops. Bori, at your service.
Does Valinith know this name? Does he recognize this from the stories?
Would you have mentioned anything about this, Feanor, beforehand?
I spoke to Jalen about the person who carved my
but not Valinith.
whistle, not Valinith.
Okay.
So no.
All right, that means nothing. All right, I was just wondering. He's like, well, good sir Bori. We'll try not to bore you with how long this will take. And he'll continue to work with.
Aye, and if these cigars don't go away, don't worry. I feel like growing out my hair to cover it back. And he basically everything's chopped up and pretty messed up. But he says, he is kind of like joking about it. Caranthiel hasn't mentioned much of anything. I'm gonna have Feanor, you make a perception check for me.
Does she still have her ring on?
Yeah.
I got a 21.
She's eyeing you kind of with a side eye. It doesn't seem to be suspicious, but she looks to be a mixture of, well, confused but also worried.
Yeah, I just shake my head just the slightest bit, like just like a back and forth while looking at her, and then go back to the interaction with like everything that's going on.
And you all go back to work, trying to patch him up. Feanor using his skills of how to mend some of these wounds. Valineth, you do your thing, and Caranthiel, she does her thing. Which brings us to Theodric. So, Theodric, I don't know if you can hear me, because your screen went dark, but
He's entered one of his dreams.
He's sleeping.
it is darkness.
It's the middle of the evening.
It's when he returns with the voice modulator.
Oh,
I have
you know-
awoken.
No real changes coming out when Kyle breaks out the voice modulator.
I know,
Oh,
I know.
God.
I wish I could hear it real time, but
It's bad enough listening
it gives
to
it
like,
replay value. All right, are you there, Theodric? Can we hear you? Speak. Oh no, we can't hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can.
Yay!
Okay.
We've made our way back to you, Theodric. So you've been tending to everything at night, and actually some of the new freshly made weapons that have been carved in the meantime, you're actually been in charge of putting them back into the cart. You see, I'm going to have you make a perception check as you do so, though, because you have to climb kind of on the back of the cart in order to place them on top where this old man is sleeping. But this is a perception check.
That is a 7.
7. You kind of step over him a little bit, and you hear him just go, darkness, green, and you don't really make anything of it as you begin to place these basically items around. But as you begin to climb down, you see that he's sleeping, but there's a small bit of movement, and you can actually catch just below, because the way he is he's laying on his side, so like on his side, and he has like a hand that's kind of like tapping on the like almost like shivering like on the base, and he seems with his other arm to be covering something up, and you can see that in the rags that he has there is a small tiny shimmer. You just barely catch a glint.
Can I try and take a closer look?
You do you wish to do so stealthily, or
Yes, I'm going to try to stay quiet so I don't wake him.
make a stealth check? You don't have armor on or anything, so this is not going to be a disadvantage, although it's disadvantage because you're exhausted. So
11.
11. You take a closer look, and you can see that skillfully wrapped within his basically matted tunic, you see that there is a small piece of steel that is peeking out just from the bottom, and he seems to be grasping very hard with one hand, and you just hear darkness, consuming darkness. As he begins kind of shaking, but you do see that there's a small piece of steel that is within his grasp.
Okay,
He is not
so,
chained anymore, FYI.
But is he still asleep, or?
He's still asleep, yes.
Okay. Can I tell if it's a weapon or not, or is it just like steel, vague steel?
It looks pretty nice and polished. It could be a weapon. You're unsure, though. Just see a very tip of what could be something.
Right. Theodric's gonna climb out of the wagon, and are there any of our guards around?
Oh, he's a rat. He's a snitch.
I'm
No.
gonna have. I'm
Don't
gonna
jump to conclusions.
Yeah. I'm gonna have you make a stealth check for me.
Come on. Oh no, that's even worse. 9.
9. There are guards around, and the only one who seems to really be looking at you is Taladir. But there's
Lovely.
kind of a glazed over look in his eye, as if he couldn't be bothered with what you were doing.
Okay. Theodric is going to, I guess, just kind of like try to gently shake the old man awake.
Okay. You do so. You grasp him, and you shake him. And you actually start to notice as you do that, like his hand, that the one that's not grasping, begins to move kind of violently, like almost kind of like shaking, like chaotically, and drawing, as if drawing something on the wood beneath his hand.
Oh, is there anything? Has he actually drawn anything on the wood, or is it just?
Upon closer investigation, you can see that the one hand that he's been using to do that, the tip of his finger has begun to bleed. There are small carvings that are being drawn on the wagon. Small, very small.
Huh. Good morning, old timer. Sorry to wake you up. Yeah,
Is it food time yet?
You're safe. You're safe. It's okay. Like,
What do you want?
And you can see that he shifts immediately, and the glinting piece immediately vanishes inside his robes.
I was just wondering if you'd like to eat. Are you
Yes,
are you well enough to eat?
Always. Where's my meal?
I'm going. Do I still have rations on me or anything, or?
You can grab some. There's some food within reach. You know where the majority of it is. So if you wanted to sneak something, it would be a stealth check in order to give it to him. But
Yeah. I'll try to get him something to eat.
yep, make stealth check.
Come on, dice. Okay, I am going to be using my inspiration to try and get better, because that was sad. Hey, okay, that's a 14.
14. You do actually very skillfully, and you're actually able to pull out what looks to be a large wedge of cheese. You hold this up. It's a little bit pungent, but you give it to him, and he immediately reaches out as if to grab, like almost lunging at it. Do you just just give it to him,
Yeah.
or how are you playing it on dealing with this? Because he's lunging at you. Are you
I am going to
tossing
just
it,
kind
or
of-
are you just taking the lunge?
I'm gonna just kind of gently toss it to him.
Okay. So you do so, and he goes, "Here," and he grabs it, and he takes one look, and he's almost as if asking for approval to eat this.
Yeah, go for it. Peace, old man. Nobody's gonna.
And he begins very viciously eating at this, and within a matter of a few seconds, the entire wedge of cheese is gone. He scarfs this thing down, and he says, and he immediately, his twitching kind of stops, and he stares at you for but a moment. And he begins kind of looking around.
No. Darkness and glowing orcs and darkness.
And he begins kind of rocking back and forth, and just kind of not meeting your gaze, but just looking down, downcast.
You can relax. We're safe now, relatively.
Make a persuasion check for me.
That's a 3.
Never safe. Never safe. The shadow.
Okay, well, maybe not safe, but you're amongst friends, allies, I suppose.
Friends. I have no friends. The shadow took them.
And he seems to almost something's spooking him, as if he's recalling something, and he just begins to just kind of almost have this pseudo panic attack as he his eyes kind of flash open.
Easy, friend. Easy. My name's Theodric. What's yours?
Don't need a name, do I? There's only me. I know who I am. I'm me. You need names.
Yes, I'm Theodric, and I know who I am, but I'm not sure who you are, other than you.
I had name once. But they took it. They took it.
Who took it?
And he pulls you and he grabs up like up at you and kind of pulls you in.
The necromancer.
Okay.
He took my name. He took everything.
And then he pulls himself away.
Darkness. Shadows. Pain. Orcs.
And he begins kind of curling himself up in a ball as if to like retreat with inside himself.
So, this necromancer, was it far away? Is it... Like, how did you escape?
Escape. No. Never escape. He's always here. He's around. Everywhere. Green eyes. Dark green eyes. Breath as cold as ice. My soul chilling.
Easy. Like, deep breaths. You're safe right now.
He begins to kind of just like look at you.
You're a spy. You're of the shadow. You are Theodric of the shadow.
And he begins kind of just like scooting back further and further.
I move back, and to try and like show him that I'm not gonna hurt him or anything. I'm just like, easy, friend. I'm not of the shadow. I'm of Rohan. I'm Theodric of Rohan, and I'm certainly not a spy.
Make a persuasion check for me.
That is a natural 20.
Not shadow.
And his trembling immediately stops. And he just stares at you blankly.
Theodric. Not of shadow.
He narrows his
Yes.
gaze as he kind of like begins crawling slowly towards you. As he does so, almost transfixed on you, you hear a thud as the metal piece falls out of his robes. And he looks and kind of stares you in the face, and he gives you a sniff.
Before you say anything, I know I smell like horse. I'm tending to them all day, so I get enough of that from Feanor that I'm aware.
You don't smell like death. You
A little uncomfortable now, but
smell of grass. You smell of the breeze. You smell of light. Sunlight.
He kind of like falls back and just like looks at you like unable to like believe what he is seeing, as if his eyes have been opened for the very first time, and he looks at you.
yes, you're, well, relatively safe. Like, I don't know where you've been held or what you've been through, but at least for now, it's over.
You was their prisoner. Horrible things have I witnessed. Have I endured? No sunlight, no grass, no wind, only death.
And he looks like very sullen and sad.
That sounds horrific. Like, how did you escape?
There's a festering bog that surrounds Doguldur. One day, I saw a light. A brilliant white light. I had to shield my eyes. It's too much to handle. But my chains were gone. My cell was opened. And the orcs, the filthy orcs, that guarded my cells, scattered. I ran. I ran up through the dungeons into the festering bog. Hands, cold, dead hands, reaching up to drag me under. But I ran. I ran into the wood. And I ran, and I ran, and I ran. Darkness is all I knew. And darkness I ran. Deeper and deeper darkness. The nasty things of this wood I hid.
I see. So, can I quickly make a lore check? Like, just Theodric would have known, or at least heard about the tale of the White Council fighting at Dol Guldur.
Chances are probably not, actually.
Okay.
That was something that was pretty done in secret.
Okay. Can I see what the piece of steel was that he dropped?
You look, and beneath, and he doesn't even seem to be paying any attention to it. It's just very clearly out there for you to see. It looks to be a very pristinely cut piece of steel, and on it is it's an axe head, essentially. And on it, carved upon basically the back end of it, is the face of a wolf. And he sees that you're looking at the steel.
Theodric. Of the light.
And he picks it up and he shoves it into your hands.
No, takes it. Takes it.
Okay.
Darkness can hide anywhere. Stones. Eggs. Gems. I've carried this for too long. I've carried this for too long. But you takes it. The darkness tries to find me. But you, darkness is dispelled. The shadow hides in things. shadow hides in things of great value. Does this have value to you?
I mean, it certainly looks impressive. Can I make an investigation check on this piece of metal?
Make a traditions check for me.
Oh. Come on, no. That's a 4.
This looks real nice. It looks fancy as heck.
Very shiny.
Yes. It's certainly impressive looking. I'm not sure what it is, but it is impressive looking.
I find it on my journey through the trees. Take it. Take it!
And he begins raising his voice.
Okay. Easy. We don't really want the elvish guards finding us talking like this.
What?
But if you want me to, I will take it.
And he looks around and he sees, as if again seeing everything for the first time.
What is this? What's going on?
Okay. Easy. We're currently being transported by these fine men of the Mirkwood. As long as we don't make any trouble, we're generally left alone.
I will not be prisoner again. Never again.
Easy.
Make a persuasion check for me.
That is a 5.
He jumps up and he stumbles to his feet.
No.
Never again! And he broad jumps over the side of the wagon and begins booking it for the tree line.
Wait! don't run!
Is that all? Just words?
Well, I'm also like trying to figure out, like, I'm sitting in the back of the wagon.
Do the rest
with
of us hear this?
Shiny gleaming piece of metal.
Uh-huh.
Bloody runes or something written on the side of the wagon, and he's just leapt. I'm like,
make a persuasion check.
I would like to make a persuasion. Yeah.
Wait.
Do we hear this?
That's a 14, but I would also like to just see if I can stash the shard of metal, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Somewhere.
I'm gonna give you the option to reach out and grab him or stash this metal. By the way, Valineth, yes, yelling from within the tent has become very evident.
I'm gonna grab him.
You're gonna grab him. Okay, so you drop the piece of metal and you reach out to grab him. And you do grab his arm as he begins to kind of like leap down, and you hold him tightly. He doesn't seem to be putting up much resistance, and immediately Tailor comes. He has a spear raised at the basically the old man. Hey, what's this that we got here? Trying to run? You see?
Please, Sir Teledy, he's just panicked. We both know he's not well.
No, he's been panicked for quite some time, but never has he tried to leap out of our care.
Well, he seems to be recalling more of his captivity. And, I guess it would be enough to make anyone flee, really.
I see. Well, Theodric, thank you for stopping the prisoner.
And he immediately takes out his shackles and he shackles his legs and his arms behind, and he basically picks up this man and almost effortlessly throws him back into the back of the wagon. I'm gonna have you make a stealth check for me for this piece of steel.
Okay, before I do that, I need to roll.
Can Valineth come out as this is happening?
Yeah,
I'm rolling a
He
D16.
says, My, what is this racket? Has the gentleman in the back awoken? And he sees what's going on.
I'm also rolling a D16 in the hopes of getting a better roll for that stealth check.
You are not having much luck today.
No, I'm not.
Back to the
Aside
old
from that
ways.
nat 20 before.
Nat 20 is pretty good. That is going to be an 8.
Damn it. Okay.
But Valinith, he speaks up and he's like, "Oh, what is going on here? Do you need your medicine, good sir?" And he starts walking his way over towards the wagon.
You, healer, stay put.
Oh.
Taladir, he looks a little bit panicked, and he has basically like his spear kind of like pointing in like every direction.
God!
It's when
This is
God!
a mental break.
it's at that point that Feanor would walk forward and he'd kind of put a hand on Valinith's shoulder and be like, "Go back in the tent." Which guard is it that's currently at the
Taladir.
Taladir.
I don't know what's going on.
Taladir, what's going on? And I'm going to approach with like no weapons or anything. I'm like, why are we under attack?
No, but this prisoner seems to try to make a break for it, and thanks to your companion Theodric, he has not done so.
Who do you want us to go grab? Because I don't think there's any need for panic, but I can go get someone if you need be. He appears to already be manacled.
Maeglin. He has information that Maeglin must hear. Theodric says that he's remembering.
The mentally unstable man is regaining his stability. Is there anything else that I can tell Maeglin immediately so that he's like actually going to come instead of just waiting till the morning? Because he doesn't seem like a threat, and if he's regaining his memory, yeah. And 11.
11. He kind of takes a deep sigh. Yes. Yes, you're right. You, Theodric, keep an eye on this one. Any rash movements, I will not resist putting a dog down, such as him.
Well, he wouldn't get particularly far in the woods anyway, not with so many of us here. He'd barely make it 10 feet into the woods. But if he does have information that Maeglin will eventually want to hear in the morning, then probably best to not put him down. Like I said, he's not going to get very far. Is he really going to hope to outrun an entire group of wood elves in their own woods? No. We can inform Maeglin in the morning that there has been a development, and that because of Theodric's actions, our prisoner with potentially vital information did not flee into the woods. Theodric, good job.
Yes, and if you really wish, I could always tell Maeglin what he said.
I'm sure he will ask you what exactly was said, but
Yes, but
just do
he's
what
not exactly
Taladir asked you to do tonight.
yeah. This old man isn't exactly in any state to, I guess, be reasoned with right now.
Indeed.
Hmm.
Well, for the evening then, Theodric, you did good today. Hit the hay early tonight. Feanor, keep eyes on the prisoner.
Boss.
Valinor,
Why, yes. What do you need?
check his stability. I don't care how you do it. Just do it.
And Valinith says, "Aye, aye, sir. Okay, old man. Calm down. Let me take a look." And does the old man react in any particular way to Valinith being one of the high elves?
You so you essentially begin to approach both Feanor. What are you doing at this moment, Feanor?
Feanor would have probably approached where where the rations for this guy have been getting stored, because I've been the one that's been feeding him when we have been stopping, and I've been in camp. So I'm probably going to go retrieve those so I can bring them over, so I don't need to leave the immediate area while I'm
For sure.
on guard.
For sure.
So
Yeah, you
So I'm
go,
not
you go
right
grab
there next
those.
to them.
Perfect. Valinith, you begin to approach, and he this is the first time that you've seen him not jittering, but as you approach, his eyes just look at you like,
Why, yes, I know I am a bright, shining light, but let me take a look at you, my good sir.
I think you're complimenting yourself too much, Valneth. You're intelligent, but a bright, shining light, I doubt it.
Well, we in situations such as these, we like to brighten him up a little bit. And Valnith grabs him and takes a look. Does Valnith notice any of like the blood and stuff that's like on the wagon as he's moving?
so it's
Like,
not a
closer?
ton. Basically, like he just basically has like worn down his like fingernail to a point where it's begun kind of bleeding a little bit, and it's like small little traces, but like his nail has been carving small carvings inside. I'm gonna
Valnith
say you
notice?
can make a perception check. They're
Yes,
small
quickly.
enough where you could miss them.
Has Taladir left yet, or is he,
He has.
still?
He's made his way back up to the front, but he's still watching.
It's a 13.
You do notice it, but not enough to really make anything of it. Just
Yeah.
he's a little bit bleeding, but you do
Okay.
notice this chunk of metal, just right at basically his feet. This has been successfully undiscovered.
Does
Can
Val?
I'm sorry, I'm gonna roll a
Go ahead.
inspiration. Can I, as I get out of the wagon, as I was instructed to by Taladir, just kind of like whisper into Valineth's ear, like try to see what you can do with that metal, and like he's written something on the inside of the carriage in his own blood. So
Does Valnith send shadow from this thing? Noticing it?
From the axe head.
Yeah.
Make a Shadow Lord check. Theodric, who are you gonna inspire?
I wasn't sure if you would want me to do a stealth check to like sneaky whisper this to Valineth.
Yeah,
or not.
nobody other than Feanor. Feanor is the current guard. Right
Oh,
now.
okay.
All right. That's a natural 19 for a 21.
So Taladir isn't close enough to hear us.
No,
He's just
no.
kind of.
And FYI, those
Feanor's been given
those
enough
inspirations
trust that they-
can't be given to yourself.
yourself.
You have to give them to
Yes.
someone in the party. So.
I was gonna give that to Valineth if he doesn't already have one.
No, I don't have one, so I will keep that.
Yeah.
Thank you. I
Okay.
appreciate it.
Well, yeah, I'm just gonna. Well, if Taladir's not there, I'll just be like, he's written something in his own blood on the inside of the carriage.
Valnith got 21 for his now Shadow Lord chick.
You don't sense anything of darkness or shadow upon this piece. Actually, upon further investigation, you see that it looks to be made by man. And based off of the carvings and everything, this does seem to be a piece of importance. It doesn't seem like you're your run-of-the-mill axe head.
This is interesting. I think we should do some looking into this. Is this? You said the old man had this, Theodric.
Yes, he kept begging me to take it, and he kind of like chucked it at me.
Well,
I don't have a clue what it is, but
I
he
think it would
he
be
seemed to be very protective of it.
I think it would be a horrendous idea for you to get caught with this. Feanor,
Yes.
what do you think? Do you want to take hold of it?
Can I like seeing the axe head? Can I attempt to like, because I can see the wolf engraving stuff. And is this anything I've seen before, like something from the Woodmans or?
This is
Right.
immediately recognizable as a signature to the Woodman. You've spent some time with them. This is Woodman craft.
Oh, actually, I don't have my hand axes on me, or do I? Have I been given my gear? Because I'm.
No, so you're
More,
basically
yeah.
all of your guys' gear has been piled up, and you've essentially been given stuff from the elves to be able to use when the time comes. So,
Yeah.
your
Would
hand
the
axes are
axes
in.
that would the hand axes I had received have had this marking on them?
No, this seems to be something that is very rare and very valuable. It's not just your typical axe. I mean, anything could be etched with like a wolf head in it, but this thing looks impressive.
Feanor, do you recognize this?
Oh, it's yeah, it does ring a bell. Where have I seen? When I was living amongst the woodmen, this is something that they would have etched or.
Make a traditions check for me.
Valnith or?
Oh no, Feanor.
5.
5. Yeah, other than that, you probably can't glean more information other than it's probably woodman make and it looks like very classy.
Theodric, did you say that the old man was seeming to be regaining a part of his sanity, or at least like some sense of stability?
Yes, I asked him where he'd been, and he explained that he was in Dol Guldur, being held there by a necromancer and some orcs, and then there was a bright flash of light, and all the orcs were dead, and he escaped, and then he kind of came to and realized that we were surrounded by elves and panicked.
This whole time, he's just like staring blankly at Valineth.
Yeah, Valnith goes up to him and kindly,
yeah.
as Theodric and Feanor are talking, Valnith's listening, but he's going to be like, check him out and see if everything's all good with him.
Make a message check.
Oh, by the way, roll a d16, Kyle.
I will do that.
Oh, that's a natural 20 for a 27.
He seems to be much healthier than you've seen him before. If anything, there seems to be almost kind of like a glimmer of sanity that has returned, even though he's looking just like completely aghast. That is going to be a 7. Or that D16. But you see that he seems to be kind of focused, but you begin to kind of do like these little things, and he follows your finger like perfectly, but he just quietly sits there with it chained and manacled, just like looking at you.
And Valnith says, "Good sir, how did you come by this?" and points to this item on the ground, or the metal piece that Feanor, I'm assuming, has at this point.
Yeah, I'm holding it, but when you gesture, I am then going to like stash it in like my tunic.
I'm gonna have you make a persuasion check.
Yeah, that's fine.
This could be at advantage, which I think you have exhaustion, so normal.
Yep, that's a 10.
I found it. Don't know how long ago, but I found it in the woods.
In the woods, indeed. Well, it seems to be of importance to you if you've been holding on to it for so long. Well, why did you hang on to this? Did you use it as some sort of weapon of sorts?
No. My home. I made carvings.
And he looks down and he like basically like is like searching around for it, and he immediately points down kind of like to what he was making, and he begins kind of murmuring to himself.
Oh Lord. It's okay, sir. What do these mean? Valnith noticing these.
It is written in a language that you might or might not know.
Well, let's see. Let's find out.
It is
I know.
written in... Okay, well, what do you know?
Quenya, Sindarin, and Westron.
Hey, it's Quenya. So,
Yay. I recognize it.
he looks at it, and... Well, you look at it, and you see that they look to be directions.
Oh. And Valnith starts, under his breath, starts saying it and like translating them into Westiran. Or whatever the common language is.
Essentially, he's laying out his path that he took when he left Dol Guldur back to his cell, and basically everything through. And so basically it's like you have a right here, a left here, straight. There was a staircase. He went up 2 flights of stairs. He went down this hallway, like things like that. And he's basically, essentially, from what you can tell, he's been reliving over and over and over constantly his escape. And so from what you could deduce, from what you could tell upon examining him, he suffers from an extreme case of PTSD from his situation, and also basically his based off of his experiences down there, like he's lost his sanity, and so he relives these moments over and over and over again, and it makes it like where he can't think of anything. And this is the first time that he looks at it and he sees, like, as if almost like these directions are the only thing that give him comfort. like his escape. Yes, he's running from something, but it's like these directions are what give him comfort.
Well, it seems you found your way, at least out of Dol Guldur. You live to see another day, my friend. And Valnith puts a kind hand on his shoulder. Are you well enough? I know the leader of our company currently wants to speak with you in the morning. Are you well enough to be able to do so? He's not an orc. I don't think you're gonna have to worry about it. There's no need to be afraid of him. Just be truthful and honest with him.
I speak. Elf, you say? I speak. I speak. Friend of elves I am. Friend of elves.
Yes, friend of elves you are indeed. That'll go a long way here with you. But don't do anything rash. Don't go running off into the woods again. That's a good way to break that trust and become not a friend of elves.
Make a persuasion check for me.
Oh lord. Oh lord. I'm not persuasive though.
Oh no!
Natural.
This was normally. Like
Yeah,
normal
that's a natural one.
You got 2 natural ones.
Nope, just one natural one.
No,
But-
this is a normal check. Oh, did you just roll the one?
I just rolled the one. It was a
Okay.
natural
Okay.
one.
Yeah. He looks and says,
No. Prisoner, no.
You're not a prisoner. My friend, you're not a prisoner. And Valnith continues to, like, try to comfort him. We're just worried for your safety, my friend. If you go off into those woods again, we don't know if you'll come out alive. So trust us. Trust us. We're on the elf path. You're your elf friend. We'll be out of here soon.
he leans back and he no longer is looking at you in awe. And he kind of like has curled himself up into a ball and he just.
Yeah.
and is just, like,
Valnith
kind of
turns to
looking back and
Theodric
forth.
and says, just keep an eye on him tonight if you can. Seems like he has some valuable information to share. He's been through a lot. And Valnith kind of goes over his diagnosis of what he sees in him and kind of his situation, if it's not already apparent to everyone,
Mhm.
based off of what he's seen in the situation. So,
I think that Theodric, go rest. I'll wake you up just before dawn, so you can take over the rest of.
speaking of which,
Any other
Valnith,
hours in the morning. Valnith, you should probably
Yeah,
close up the
Valnith-
tent for the night.
Valnith stretches. He's like, yeah, recently I've been feeling quite exhausted. I'm not used to this feeling. He also has, exhaustion. So
Yes, no. Take care of yourselves. We're not in the woods for much longer.
I'm gonna
Yes.
have each of you make wisdom saving throws for me.
Lord,
Please.
is this normal for us?
Oh yeah, it's a
This is like
saving throw,
advantage.
so you have 1 point of exhaustion. So
I did good.
I got a 4.
I got a 20.
Dirty 20 as well. Theodric and I. Sorry, Feanor.
So Feanor, you look upon him and you can't help but just feel absolute pity for essentially what he has become. You see that by snapping out of it a little bit, like that glimpse of humanity has restored him itself a little bit, but you can see like what the shadow has done, and it brings you back to your thoughts about the shadow and just kind of your journey and what your purpose is. You settle on this kind of these thoughts. It's like you're with friends, you've lost friends, and you're desperately trying to gather any semblance of family, friends, anyone strong enough to help you, but you can't help but feel in this moment by looking at him that the encroaching shadow is inevitable. And with that, you just watch him and you go into the night. You're going to take 1 point of shadow. The rest of you, so Valnith and Theodric, you go to bed for the night. Theodric, you actually set up your sleeping bag and you go basically inside of it, and you notice that Belgo is actually already asleep. Baldur, he you can see that he has been coming in and out of Maglin's tent with various things, essentially being told to go retrieve things, basically carry information to other guards. But Belgo looks beat and he is asleep. And you kind of settle down next to him and you look at his haggard yet peacefully sleeping face as you begin to drift off. Valineth, you make your way back to the tent where Caranthiel currently is, and she seems to be kind of just like gazing upwards, and she seems to be in elf dreams at the moment. You settle down and you begin to have those same dreams. Not same dreams, but you begin to
He's going to be pondering these directions, and he's going to be doing his best to try to memorize these directions that he saw.
Make an intelligence check for me.
All right. Intelligence, and this is at disadvantage, right?
Correct.
Intelligence. Where is the intelligence? Just the normal, just straight check for intelligence? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm actually pretty good at that, so.
You're intelligent? What?
Intelligent, I know. Hey, it's the same roll. That's a dirty 20.
Okay.
At disadvantage.
Oh
wait, sorry, at disadvantage. That was a 18.
18. So
Yeah.
you begin to ponder these directions over and over again. You've never been to Duguldur, but you begin to kind of piece together kind of a map in your mind of like this direction. So basically you kind of like take like a blank canvas and you're kind of connecting on like horizontal and vertical, like three-dimensional like level, like this path. You don't see any walls or anything, but essentially like this path that has been traversed. You start to think it over and over again, and you keep it kind of like entrapped in your mind. For the meantime, these are directions that after your rest you are going to remember going forward. That's to say it won't stay there for forever.
Yeah, I mean Valineth wants to memorize them, and until he gets his journal back, he's gonna be doing his best to try to keep going over them in his mind so he doesn't forget. So.
Yes, but Theodric, you close your eyes and you begin to slip into again another rough night. As far as dreams go, you've gotten, especially these past couple of weeks, you've gotten used to just a general hustle and bustle of the camp, and it hasn't allowed you to get like super deep sleep. And every time you do, you just hear voices that continuously wake you up. It's been a little while since you've had a dream such as the one that you did a few nights ago, but you begin to slip into a deep slumber, and you immediately find yourself very aware of your current situation, where you're sitting there next to the cart. The cart is still there, and you're leaning up against it, and you're just like staring off into the essentially the woods. And you have kind of like this feeling, this foreboding feeling that yes, you're only 3 days away from being out of these woods, but it doesn't feel like that. You kind of understand what this old man was telling you about, like this endless darkness. And he says, you remember him thinking or saying that Theodric is the light. Theodric and light, the smell of grass, the feel of wind, light. And you yourself are struggling remembering those things. It's been a while that you felt this slowly. Probably the only thing that could rival it was that night that you were there with Jalen next to you, her lifeless body. You stare out into the darkness and you continuously contemplate, and you notice that the forest itself seems to breathe. You don't feel any breath on you, but there's almost kind of like this creak in the trees, like kind of like this like groaning, like in and out, as if like some kind of creature is the woods are a creature themselves. You look, and the elf path itself remains deserted on both sides. It's devoid of all life. You look down, Belgo's no longer there beside you. You don't see any of the caravan other than the cart that you're pressed up against. No Baradarok, no Valinith, no Feanor, Baldur, Belgo, any sign of your guards or captors. And you gaze towards the southern edge of the forest. The forest that borders the path. The forest that, upon leaving the path, you've experienced so much darkness and unfortunate situations from. An ominous mist begins to pour onto the trail, like the very essence of shadows that are spilling out of the trees. The mist takes an inky black hue, as if the darkness of Mirkwood has taken form. And it begins to start to creep around you, and you begin thinking to yourself, like, oh geez, like, here are my dreams come again. Like, you're very well aware at this point. You know when nightmare's happening. And a voice begins speaking to you. It's a haunting, otherworldly voice, and it resonates from within the dense tree line. It calls out to you in a beckoning tone that's both alluring and chilling. You don't recognize this voice. As you fix your gaze deep into the darkness, you see a multitude of red eyes begin to peek out at you from the shadows. Their sinister gaze fixed upon you like predators stalking their prey. Each set of eyes seem to pulse with malevolence. But captivatingly, they're drawing your attention. And a feeling of being scrutinized settles upon you. And your soul begins to shrink. At least you feel kind of this weight begin to fall upon your shoulders. And it begins to send shivers down your spine. You listen closely to this voice that seeps out of the trees. And suddenly the words, a cacophony of guttural noises and chittering, it becomes clear to you, and you can understand it. You sit there contemplating it, and it begins quiet, and then louder and louder it rings.
In the heart of Mirkwood, where all hope dies, you stand before the shadow, an instrument of despair, ready to feast upon the flesh of all that lives. I am that which consumes all hope, a harbinger of fear, and I sense the seething hatred festering within your very soul. Your heart aches for vengeance, a thirst for retribution against the one who holds you captive. I can smell its oh so sweet aroma. It calls to me. How deliciously satisfying it is to witness such raw, unbridled rage. Your fallen comrade's memory fuels the fire, pushing you towards the edge of darkness. I am the weaver of nightmares, the dread that haunts your deepest fears. Your soul emits a beacon of vulnerability, drawing me ever closer like a moth to a flame. The more despondent you become, the more your heart churns with hatred, the brighter you shine in the abyss of this wood. Embrace this desire.
You may say that I have given into retribution and hatred, and yes, there is a small part of me, a large part of me, if I'm being honest, that would like nothing more to avenge Jalen. And I'll be the first to admit that, yes, I really, really do chafe under the conditions that I'm currently being held in. But, oh, little envoy of Shadow, what you fail to understand is I'm good at suppressing those feelings. I'm good at suppressing that rage. And I've been learning to understand it. And right now, no matter how much I hate it, no matter how much it bothers me, I know that I have to put those feelings aside and keep moving forward for the sake of myself and my friends, for the sake of Belgo, and for the sake of Jalen's memory. She wouldn't want me to throw my life away in a meaningless act of retribution. Killing Maeglin won't bring her back. That's something I've had to come to terms with over the last 2 weeks, is that no matter what actions I do to Maeglin, no matter how hard I hurt him, it won't bring Jalen back. It won't bring her any measure of satisfaction. And it won't make me feel any better. It won't make me miss her any less. And it certainly won't protect Belgo and my friends the way she would have wanted me to. So you keep saying whatever you want to say. You know, fill the air with your sugary lies and your pretty words. But they're meaningless. I will do what I must to protect my friends. Now be gone with you.
The voice, the chittering that calls to you from the shadows, its voice lessens. It dissipates, as if vanishing on the breeze. You can hear the breath of the woods grow less and less.
One chance, one opportunity to run. I am nearly upon you. I watch silence from the shadows. I see all. I see. Flee while you can to one. In the heart of Mirkwood, where all hope dies, prepare to meet your doom. For as the night descends, hope is but a distant memory, and the looming shadow of you and your companions' demise draws near.
And with that, you wake up. You look out into the woods in front of you. You no longer see the mist that is falling out. You see Belgo sleeping next to you. You see the elf guards. Tailor still standing watch. He's looking up at the canopy as if listening. Valineth is in his tent. And Feanor. You don't see Feanor. And you don't see the man that was in the back. Actually, you don't see anybody that's around the cart. You stand up. You look around. And for but a moment, you see that there are no guards to the tent. Maeglin's tent. and you can hear whispers creeping out from inside. I'm gonna have you make a perception check for me.
That is an 11.
These whispers are Maeglin's voice. There is a hint of frustration in his voice. He seems to be contemplating something. No, it's not contemplation. He seems to be arguing. Do you wish to investigate closer?
Yes. I'll try to sneak up a little closer. But not like obviously sneaking, just kind of like...
You don't.
Just one of those I'm trying to walk and blend in sneaks.
Yeah, kinda, yeah.
Yeah.
I can't hear Kyle if anyone else can.
We couldn't
Are
hear
we,
you.
are we good?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
there we go.
Cool,
Yeah.
cool, cool. You sneak closer. Sneak. You wander closer in order to try to hear what he's saying. And this argument is in hushed tones, but you only hear one voice. And you hear Maeglin. What to do, what to do. No. Stop it. Stop it, I said leave me alone. No. 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 And his voice becomes guttural and a deep growl comes from his vocal cords. Something you haven't heard from him. No. And immediately it goes silent.
Theodric is going to leave the general area and search for Valineth.
You do so, and you look around, going immediately to the healer's tent. You open it up, and you see that Cranthiel isn't there, but Valineth is.
Valineth, how'd you sleep?
Oh, hello, Theodric. I mean, I don't really sleep, but I am well rested, my friend. Rest assured. How about you? You look better. You look chipper.
It's a matter of opinion.
Does he
had
look
another-
chipper?
It's a matter of opinion.
And Theodric's going to be like, I had another strange dream, but that's beside the point. My main
No,
issue
that's
is,
not beside the
is-
point. It seems prophetic to me. Lay it on me.
just that apparently that we're being watched and that we're all going to die. You know, the same old, same old. Anyway, what I came here to
He's
discuss,
really concerned.
and Theodric just looks around to double check that they're alone.
Yeah, you can tell.
I overheard Maeglin in his tent
Hmm.
talking to himself, but his voice wasn't his, if you know what I mean. Like, it kind of was, but it was very guttural, very well, for want of a better word, evil. Like, evil,
Has-
scary voice, and then his normal voice.
Has Valineth heard of anything like this happening in his reading of books or anything in any accounts of history?
Make a traditions check for me.
Disadvantage.
Lore check.
Disadvantage.
Disadvantage.
Al's goes, yes, he has laryngitis.
Yeah, right. That's pretty good. 19.
19. Only in rare occasions. This seems to be something. You've heard about like some disorders, such as like things like split personality or that kind of stuff, but you've also heard of. You've also heard of possessions as well. Potentially, it could be something of that degree.
And as far as possessions go, is there any accounts of these possessions potentially being dispelled of sorts, or have they all ended in tragedy, from what he can recall?
From what you can recall, not all of them have ended in tragedy, but the vast majority of them do.
And Valinith recalls this as he's like recalling something from the past, and as he's thinking this, he's speaking it out loud to Theodric, seeing if that sounds anything familiar or something.
Well, that's a little worrying. Like having Maeglin's usual personality was already bad, but knowing that he might be possessed doesn't make me feel much better.
Neither does it as well, my friend. You said it's happening now?
I mean, yeah, it was. I kind of didn't want to get caught eavesdropping by his tent, though, so I left.
That's fine. That's a good idea. Actually, Theodric, thank you for telling me.
I'm just thinking that maybe we should. I know it's a long shot, but maybe we should get ready to try and run if things keep going the way they are.
I think I'm also getting restless, and I feel that too, Theodric. I do want to see if I can hear this of any sorts. So yes, please don't be with me while this is happening. But Valinith is gonna like walk out of the tent and kind of go over by the cart, checking on the old man if he's still there. Is the old man there, or is he gone?
Old man is not there.
Okay, he's going to check the cart to see if the old man's there. Basically, is what he's gonna be
Theodric,
doing.
do you follow?
I'm going to follow because I have good reason to be at the cart, so nobody will
True.
find that suspicious.
True.
It's kind of my job, so yeah.
So you make your way over, and you don't see any signs immediately. Valinith, are you looking for anything specifically?
Well, I'm looking to see if like the engravings are still there, obviously to see if the old man's there, but also like I'm trying to get close enough to see if I can hear anything at all coming from Maeglin's tent as well.
As you actually walk towards the cart, you walk further from his tent. But you go check, and you see that the cart does still have the engravings. Everything is as was from before you had fallen asleep. Theodric, you wander over to, and from what you can tell, everything is as was. Again, guard patrols are still doing their thing. Taladir is still on his guard. He doesn't seem super uberly suspicious. Yeah, at Valinith, you look at kind of the stuff up and down, and you can see that all of your stuff has begun to be buried, like just more and more as more stuff has been added to this cart. Your stuff is starting to become unreachable. Theodric, I'm going to have you make a perception check for me.
That is a 13.
One thing you do notice is the hilt of your sword is pointed out at the very bottom.
Is it would it be amongst my duties to organize all of the supplies and things?
Most likely.
Okay. Could I potentially reorganize things to? Because I'm assuming that the elves have just been dumping everything in the back of this wagon willy-nilly.
Yep.
Okay. When I reorganize, could I kind of try to subtly keep our stuff near the top?
Absolutely. I'm gonna have
Actually,
you make
yeah, sorry. It's my job. Like, I'm not trying to have it at the very top and clearly bundled. Like, oh, there's Valinith stuff next to Feanor stuff next to Theodric stuff, all in a row. But just kind of spread out amongst everything else. Amongst all the swords. Oh, there's Theodric's near the top. Amongst all the axes, there's Feanor's. And, there's.
I'm gonna have you, Theodric, as you do this, make a Wisdom survive or saving throw. Valinith, what are you doing?
Valinith really thinking about, because again, the entire night he was just pondering about his journal, and he was really pondering about oh man, I wish I could write this all down. He's gonna actually go closer to Maeglin's tent and any of the guards who are there, and he's gonna question. Trying to hear what's going on, but question if there are any guards nearby the tent.
You hear silence, and as you approach the tent, there's actually no guards.
At all. I got a 15 on that.
Not nearby the openings or anything of the tent.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna approach the nearest guards, and approach them and say, "Have you seen Corinthial? And this is odd. I haven't seen, and this is the first time I've seen Maeglin's tent empty with guards. Is everything okay? Is he gone? Is he out?"
The guard, he looks at you and says, I don't believe that has anything to do with your duties, Master Healer.
Well, I'm just wondering. My partner, Corinthial, she's gone too, and I just find it odd that everyone's missing this morning. Is everything okay?
If you're so concerned, go check with Megalyn himself. And he looks like quite confused at you.
Okay, and he's like, okay. I mean, it's my duty to know that my patients aren't in danger, and I'm missing my partner, so I think that might be a good idea. And Valinith, like, walks over, tries to, like, ready himself and try to put on his best demeanor as he goes close to the tent. And he, before like knocking or like making his presence known, he's gonna listen a little bit and see if he can hear anything.
Mm-hmm.
Does he hear anything?
You lean up and you can hear just kind of some soft whispers. These whispers are in Sindarin.
Yeah, which I know.
Mm-hmm.
Do I understand?
You do. No. Don't make me do it. And you hear just kind of like a very distressed grunt, and you hear silence.
Is this Shadow? Can I tell? Like, is there a vibe of just
Make a shadow
any of
check.
that?
I mean, shadow has been dripping off of this guy since you've been since you've seen
But
him.
even more so than he normally is, I guess. That's what I'm checking. It's a 12.
No, not any more so.
Okay. Valinith kind of clears his throat, making his presence known, as if like he normally would address Megalyn in certain situations when he approaches him. He's like, "Excuse me, Lord Megalyn. I have a question. I seek counsel."
His head is down, and his kind of hands are on the table, kind of like tight fists, kind of like down. And all of a sudden, his head. Valinith. Do come in. You seek counsel, you say?
Why, yes, I awoke this morning, after my contemplation, and
Morning already.
is this weird? Is Valinith taken aback by this at all?
That's pretty weird, I guess.
I mean, like, has Valinith experienced this from him at all? Is this
No.
the first time he's kind of like happening? He's like, well, Corinthial, she wasn't in the tent this morning when I awoke. I was just wondering if she was here, maybe potentially talking with you or anything of the sorts. I don't see her around. Is everything okay?
Oh,
Valinith ponders.
oh. Yes, everything is fine.
Valinith.
Tell me. What news of camp? How far along are we? And he like kind of like blinks like uncertain.
Well, I mean, we're about 2 days out at the pace that we're going to the edge of the forest. Like, hesitantly.
He gains, as you say that, kind of this sinister smile begins to like envelop his face.
Master Megalyn, is everything okay? You don't
His
seem
face
yourself
goes back
this
to
morning.
normal.
You don't seem yourself this morning. Is everything fine? Have you been eating all right? Have you been staying healthy?
I feel better than I've ever felt in my life.
Can I deduce anything from this? Like, I know it's a weird, odd behavior, but is
Make
there
an
something?
insight check.
Also, I got a 15 on that wisdom saving throw earlier.
Awesome.
It's a dirty 20.
Dirty 20. Yeah, this is weird. This is really weird, Valinith. Like, he does not... I mean, he was a weird dude to begin with, but this feels off.
Valinith is curious and he ponders. I believe you, Master Megalyn. But as my duty as doctor, I think it's important as well that I make sure your condition's all right. Have you been keeping up? Well, I know we might have some medicine. We've been pushing ourselves really hard these last few days. I think maybe potentially we may have something to help get your spirits up, if
Oh.
anything.
Don't be mistaken, Valineth.
Hmm.
I said I'm feeling better than ever.
Hmm.
These words ring true, don't they?
They do ring true, but we're going to be leaving the forest soon.
In the heart of Mirkwood will all hope dies.
Whoa, 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 whoa! Hang on.
All right. Valinith hears this, and he says, "I mean, I don't necessarily like the Mirkwood, at least in this state myself. I hope hopefully it can be returned to its former glory in the near future." And he starts like kind of taking a couple steps backwards.
But why? Isn't it glorious? Look around. I'm going to have you make a dexterity saving throw for me, Valineth.
What the heck? What is going on? What is going on here? Oh, I'm gonna use my inspiration. Thank you, Fedor. Oh, it's not better. It's a 9. It's a 9.
You step back as you creep out of this tent, and he stands up immediately. Valineth!
Yes.
Where are you going?
Oh, I thought we were done talking.
No,
Is everything all right?
no.
Okay, and he takes a step closer.
You you hear footsteps creeping up from behind you. Valineth.
Yeah, yes, master.
I see you
Master.
didn't come alone.
Oh, what are you talking about? And Valinith turns around.
He looks up, and as you do so, Theodric comes with his sword drawn, and he chucks it. Boom! Pierced right through Meglin's chest. You see him.
What?
Oh my god!
Okay.
Oh, what is going on here? It's freaking
And he kind of like falls down to a knee. I need a healer. And he slumps over breathlessly.
Valinith turns around and sees Theodric there. And he's like, Theodric, what are you doing?
It's gonna hurt you. That's that.
Oh, Valinith turns back around and
Succumb. Protect.
Who's this coming from? Where's Valinith hearing?
Theodric, you're immediately jolted awake.
Inception dreams. We were right.
I was in one of Theodric's dreams, and I couldn't be happier with how that went.
What?
Everything is as it seems before you fell asleep for the night. If anything, it looks like no time at all has passed.
I look around the area, like just trying to see, like trying to get my bearings. Is Belgo still like? Is everything still as it? Yeah, everything's still as it was when I fell asleep. Yeah.
Yep.
Oh boy. What time is it? Is it morning now, or is it?
It's hard to
like-
tell. Mirkwood makes it very difficult.
Cool.
Check where Fëanor is.
Cool. Yeah, can I see Fëanor keeping an eye on the crazy old man in the back of the wagon?
You stand up and you see Fëanor has actually made his way up into the wagon and is sitting alongside of him, and he kind of keeps tearing off small pieces of food and giving it to him. He doesn't ravenously take it from what he's been in the future, like in the past. If anything, there's small chit-chat, small conversation that seems to be being held between the two of them. almost kind of like friends.
I'm going to approach the wagon and Feanor and the old man.
Oh, Theodric. It's a couple of hours, but still a couple of hours left of your rest. Or I wake you for your watch. Is everything okay?
I don't know. I've had another one of my dreams. I'm not sure what the hell's going on anymore. Honestly, I'm not sure if I'm going insane or not. I just have a bad feeling about tomorrow. Yeah.
Huh. Well, perhaps come up here and tell us a tale. In the time that I've been talking to this old guy, have I been able to determine a name while he has been more sane?
He does not have a name. All he says, and he's more rational now, but all he says is it's been taken from him. He had a name, but they took it.
Just when they were talking, it's like, how about I give you a name? Does that seem agreeable? Would you like if I gave you a name?
Who I was in that dungeon. He died back there.
Then you are a new person. You require a new name.
Yes. Yes. Yes, a new
Is
name.
that-
New name. I am me, and you are you. You are Feanor, but I am.
And he waits.
How about? How about Etgar? Starlight.
Edgar.
Or you could do color for light. I heard how you saw Theodric.
Kalar.
Could go Callan for bright. I don't know. I just, not everyone gets the opportunity to change their name when they want.
Kalar. Kalar. That's my name, Kalar. You are Feanor.
Excellent. Well,
You are Theodric. I am Kalar. Yes.
Oh,
yes,
the reason I
yes.
was asking is because as Theodric comes up, I'd be like, come spin a tale for Kalar and I. And I hold out an arm to help him up into the back of the wagon.
And Theodric climbs up and is like, well, I don't know of any tales right now, but I can tell you about my dream.
That is what I meant. Sorry. I've been caught in deep conversation with this gentleman here. So yeah. But you say you had another one of your nightmares.
Yeah.
What occurred?
I was dreaming that well, I was just doing my duties, and then in my dream I could hear Maeglin talking to himself from his tent, but he didn't sound right. Like he was sounding like two different people, but they were both his voice, but not, if that makes sense. And
Was he making a voice?
kind of, it was coming from him, but it wasn't entire. It didn't sound right. It sounded twisted and guttural, like he was possessed or something.
This sounds how you have described your dreams to me, but it is generally you who is the one under this effect.
Yeah, kind of. But in my dream I told Valineth about this, and he went to check on Maeglin, and I guess Maeglin lost his temper and tried to hurt Valineth, and then I ran Maeglin through. Well, rather, I threw a sword through his chest.
Wow, I'm sorry, Theodric. That doesn't really sound like a nightmare.
I mean,
that sounds like quite a pleasant dream. Ramming 4 foot of steel through his chest.
Like, I mean, generally you'd be right, but there was something off about it. I didn't feel a sense of accomplishment, and admittedly I shouldn't when taking a life, but it felt wrong. Both Maeglin's situation and I guess mine, like, I don't know. There's something strange about it. in my dream he was repeating the same thing as the. Oh god, I'm making a mess of this. In my dream beforehand, my dream before the dream. No, that's not
Oh, wait.
helping.
So you
I-
had multiple.
I had
Oh,
multiple
you had
dreams.
a dream. Look, I will be frank. I'm not the big. I don't understand dreams entirely.
I had a
I
dream.
understand the
I thought I
concept.
woke up and I was still in a dream, and then I woke up for.
Oh,
is this real?
That's
Fainor,
pretty. That's pretty
This
intense.
is real, right?
I punch him. Can I roll the hit?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I'm on 6 HP. Don't. Please.
I'm not actually going to deal damage. I just want to see if I hit you with my fist.
Yeah, so basically, I guess you have your unarmored
12.
defense and everything, but yeah.
There's a 12, like,
No,
Go
a
through.
12 misses.
yeah. So like I like hit your arm, but like it doesn't.
Slightly.
Yeah, you felt
Okay,
it.
I'm awake.
It's
I'm
like-
awake. Good.
You're awake.
Okay, no, in my dream, in my first dream, there was a voice whispering to me from the Mirkwood telling me that the heart of darkness lies in Mirkwood. Right? And it just kept repeating that, and then
Does
it told.
does this raise any like alarm bells in
Oh,
Fanor's head?
yeah, for sure. Whether you comprehend it or not, that's a different story, but like, yeah, it sounds pretty bad.
Yeah, but it kept saying the heart of Mirkwood lies in. No, the heart of darkness lies in Mirkwood. And it kept telling me, the usual that I get: the give in to your anger, murder Maeglin.
Yeah,
like,
the standard
right,
stuff that we've
the
come to
standard stuff.
expect. Yeah, yeah.
I told the voice to piss off, and then I woke up, or at least I thought I did, and then I heard Maeglin in his tent talking to himself with another evil voice that was also him, and I warned Velenith, who checked on Maeglin. Maeglin started repeating the same thing as the first creepy voice that came from the Mirkwood. He kept repeating, "The heart of darkness lies in Mirkwood." And then when Velenith was like, "What the hell are you talking about?" Maeglin tried to hurt him, and that's when I shish kebabbed him in my dream. And then I woke up,
Yes.
and I'm still very confused.
Just assuming that you've told me all of it, it's like the fact that the voice is telling you to run, is trying to follow you. This is very disconcerting. Can I do like can I try and think of anything of like the heart of darkness like in
Make a shadow lore check for me.
a 4? I turn. Kala, does this ring any bells to you? Kala,
Darkness.
it's okay. We'll take a breath. It was a dream that he had, but does this sound anything kind of familiar? A heart of darkness in Mirkwood. And I tear off a bit more bread and I like hand it to him.
He takes
Like,
it. He
so
takes it like very like tenderly, and he begins gnawing on it.
Mirkwood's very dark indeed. Very dark place.
And he begins,
Heart of darkness. Heart of darkness.
and he kind of begins like kind of almost like tearing at his chest a little bit.
Heart of darkness. Heart of darkness.
Guys. Oh my god. 1 second. 1 second.
I'm assuming it's some sort of spider.
No. A cockroach. Oh my god.
Oh my god, that's a much larger object than I thought you were gonna pick up.
Oh.
Did you get it?
How
The
does
heart
that
of
work?
darkness.
Ah, smack! I have vanquished the shadow from Mirkwood.
I can't see it on Vorpal board, so I only just saw it on Twitch. But no.
Are you okay? Are you okay? Did you kill it?
For any podcast listeners,
The wilderness.
Kyle just killed a cockroach with
This isn't on a
rolled up form.
podcast. Oh my
The
god.
Mirkwood has made its way into a traditional Japanese home. Good.
Well, good thing you're leaving Japan soon then.
Well, I am. He's not.
Yeah.
We're good. The heart of
I
darkness.
can say that.
Okay, Heart of Darkness.
Yes,
Yes.
which
Okay.
I asked the old man, Caleb.
Heart of darkness.
about,
Heart of darkness. Heart of darkness.
Say it too many times, you summon the cockroach horde.
Oh my god. Okay.
Okay. Take a breath. Look, we're still trying to work through things with Kala. Kala, you've met Theodric. Theodric, I gave him a name. Like saying it like the way you do, and you're like, I named a puppy. It's like I named a man. And then I he does a little chuckle. Humans are animals.
Well, as long as he consented to being given a name, I suppose that's okay.
Oh yes, I asked. him if
Jalen
he
would be the
like
first to tell you that you can't just go around naming people, but
No, I asked. Kelly, you wanted a name, didn't you? I gave you some options.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Right. Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
But yes, I'm just thinking that maybe if you can, unless your responsibilities take you too far, maybe just keep an eye on Valinus tomorrow. I'll do
I
my
will-
best as well. And Kyle, when I look down into the wagon, because I'm assuming, is this the same wagon
Yeah.
that has all the stuff?
Mhm.
Can I see our stuff?
You do see your stuff. It is exactly where it was at first in the dream, kind of buried beneath. And you do see your sword in the very same place.
Yes, I'm. Look, I think things are going to come to a head sooner rather than later, and we may need to be prepared to cut and run.
Oh,
Yeah.
cut and run. Casually strolling up behind Magellan.
Sup, Meglin? Just talking to Keller here. He seems to have gotten a little bit of his sanity back.
Yes, that's what
so we
I've
were able to
heard,
have a
and
little bit of a
he
discussion.
tried to run earlier, didn't he?
Yes, Theodric himself actually stopped him from cutting and running. But we've been able to have a discussion with him, and he seems to have calmed down. Seems much more reasonable now. I've been able to have a little bit of a chat with him, and he seems to be able to converse reasonably clearly.
Admittedly, he does keep repeating something about orcs, which is a little concerning, but
Yes.
But he has seen a lot.
Make
actually going
persuasion
to-
checks for me, the two of you.
Fuck. I'm really horrible. Natural 20! But it came out as a 19, because I have a -1.
and I got a 15. I got a 15.
He sees through us both. Crap!
Yes. No, I heard everything about him earlier, trying to make a run for it, and yes, he does. I came here to inquire about, well, what he knows. Said something about orcs. He said something about,
By
Would you
looking
like,
at, does he
like-
look like? What's his name? Calantia?
No, Kayla.
Kayla.
That's
Does-
the old
Does
man.
does Kayla look like he's going to say anything, or is Magellan kind of waiting for our?
Kalar, he's just like staring there, just kind of like,
Yeah.
Oh,
Well,
well-
Meglin, would you like us to bring him into your tent so that the both of you may sit and have a discussion?
I think that would be a
Or
good
if you
idea.
want, I can just repeat what he said to me.
Ah. He takes one look at Kalar. Less jittery than before. Theodric, you come in with him. We will discuss what he remembers.
Oh, actually, how very rude of me. Meglin? Kayla, this is Meglin. Meglin, this is Kayla.
Oh, you have a
that is
name.
That is not his original name, but I have given him one for the sake of brevity.
Oh, Kalar. Light.
Yes, he's not very fond of the words of darkness or shadow, so this kind of helps keep him calm a little bit, I think.
Yes.
Makes sense to me. Now, let us
Come,
go.
Kayla.
Yes, let's go have a little chat. And he escorts Theodric and Kalar into the tent. Valineth, at this point, you are just now waking up. You see that Bori is sound asleep, and his wounds are mending beautifully. This is something that, like, the three of you working together, Feanor, you and Caranthiel, have done good stuff. And Crantheo, you can see, is actually kind of like patting his head a little bit as he kind of just like dreams. And you notice that like emitting from her hand is a small little fire, as well as she begins actually humming the same tune that Feanor was singing earlier.
She loves him. She loves him.
Balance internal monologue. Like,
Oh yeah.
I love how it's our socially inept member who's like, I know what's going
Oh
on.
yeah. He may be socially inept himself, but he knows when a romance is a plan.
Or at least he thinks he does.
Yeah, exactly. So does Valineth notice Maeglin come out or anything? Does he hear anything of the sorts? This whole situation go down outside?
Probably small pieces of it, but nothing seems to really arouse your attention all too much. This was something that was planned, that was going to happen, so it's probably not.
Valineth will sit there and like kind of just keep an ear out for it, but he's actually going to talk to Corinthial, who's across the way, just humming and singing, and he says, "So you told me about Maeglin. You said that he's changed recently. Is everything okay with him?"
Her humming slowly comes to a stop, and as she does so, she closes her palm, and the fire goes away. Yes, he's changed. Some. Around me, he's still gentle. You see, I'm concerned for him, concerned for Feanor, but I'm just concerned for everything that is happening within Mirkwood. It's my home. When Feanor and I grew up, we were told, don't go too far south to the mountains of Mirkwood. We all know that the mountains of Mirkwood are dangerous. And it was the rangers, the hunters, that kept the evils at bay. And they still do. There's no short supply, though, of the shadows that creep out of the mountains of Mirkwood. What I fear is the longer we stay in these woods, Valineth.
Yes.
I don't know how keen of hearing you are. I know you've got a keen mind.
I try to keep an ear out from time to time. I mean, when you're traveling with companions, your head's always on a swivel, I feel.
Do you hear the whispering?
Do I hear the whispering?
You don't really have an exact understanding of what she's talking about. But you have kind of a knowledge of it based off of what you've heard from Theodric, and even Jalen in the past about just like whispering in the canopies and everything. So you have kind of a general idea about that.
Well, I know it's a bad omen. I know, in my travels before we met you and the other wandering elves, with whispers have always come bad omens. And with whispers soon to come, a shadow. But, Corinthial, you've been spending so much time pondering these things and thinking about your companions and the friends that you're with. But are you okay? And Valineth actually looks down at the ring on her finger, and he says, and then he looks back up into her eyes.
There's sadness. Very clear sadness. She doesn't answer immediately.
Especially because of what you told me about him. He's lost someone close to him. How do you feel about this situation?
Valineth, 5 years ago, when Feanor and I parted, I thought I'd never see him again. It wasn't until a couple weeks ago when I looked at him, when I looked at all of you, I know what it feels like to lose someone, but to see them die before your very eyes. Even I, as a healer, it's too much for me to bear sometimes.
You have a good heart, young one. You have a heart of a healer. And I know you do truly, genuinely care for Maeglin. I think it's clear to see with how much you worry about him, how much you worry about the health of everyone. But is he in a place to give that same feelings back to you right now?
Feanor, I'm gonna have you make a perception check. He hasn't for quite some time.
A 22.
And what has changed about that relationship? Have you noticed anything in particular coming between? I don't doubt your feelings for him. I know you lost Feanor, and now he's suddenly back in your life. I haven't experienced love myself necessarily, but I can sense a predicament that you're in right now, because I can tell you have feelings for him. But I also don't doubt your feelings for Maeglin as well.
His actions within the past couple of weeks, his actions with your friend, Jalen.
Yeah.
It's clear to me. It's clear to me he's the one who murdered her. It's been hard for me to come by. You seem like such a lovely bunch. Of course you are. You become friends with Feanor. And I struggle with that. The man who I came to know, the man that I came to depend on, turning to murder. It's hard to believe it's not the elf that I fell in love with. But he can't not be beyond saving, right? And she kind of for the first time looks like absolute terror in her eyes.
Yeah. Valineth sighs and he says, I'd like to think, and I do hope that he's not beyond saving. He's not evil per se, as in his actions are evil, of course. He's done terrible things as of late. But he's not an orc. He's not a creation of Morgoth. But I believe he has in some ways been tainted. I've done what I can to try to reach him because I see this in him. And Valineth kind of speaks up. I sense a shadow upon him. I've sensed it from the moment I met him. And it's strong and it's potent. And I worry about him and I worry about you. But if he's to listen to anyone, I think he'll listen to you.
And she nods and she gets on basically her knees and stands up. You're right. No. You're right. You watch the patient. And then, like, without further words, she actually leaves the tent.
Oh boy. And Valinith watches the patient and
Oh.
listens keenly.
Feanor.
I got a 22 for my perception.
Yes. You're just kind of like hanging around and just like keeping an eye on the tent from not Corinthial's and Valinith's tent, but Maeglin's tent from a distance, kind of by the cart. And you see just the elves that are around. And you can't help but count. 1, 2, 3, 4. There are a couple elves that are unaccounted for.
Are there any that I
Listen.
recognize?
Well, you've gotten to the point where you've recognized everybody at this point, and so
Yeah, okay.
So two of them that you have come to know. One of them is part of the group of hunters that you're with, and then another one is just a random one of the guards that are there. You listen closely. And you look out amongst the tree line. And you have no idea why. But you have a sneaking suspicion. Something's not right. Theodric and what was his name?
A color.
Okay. You make your way inside the tent with Maeglin, and he says, please. Kalar, is it? Have a seat. Theodric, you too. Seems like you've done your fair share of work today. You deserve a drink. And he leans over to kind of like a small little keg that is on his desk, and he fills it with luxurious elf wine. You recognize this, Theodric, as wine that has been transported back and forth by Belgo to like from the tent. And he pours it in a wooden kind of like glass, and he gives it to you, Theodric, and says, "Now, Kalar, you can have one of this. Elven spirits. If you tell me everything truthfully that you remember. Now, Theodric, when did he start, being like this?" Oh, can't hear ya.
He sniffed.
There we go. Last night, I was just finishing up, cleaning up the carriage and the caravan, and I noticed he was muttering to himself and scrawling something on the back of the wagon with his fingernail. He's cut it so it was to a point.
I did notice.
Yes. It turns out it was his path from where he was being held to the treehouse that Feanor said you found him at. I managed to talk to him and try to get him to understand that we weren't orcs and that he wasn't a prisoner. And eventually, I managed to get through to him, and he told me that he was held captive at Dol Guldur.
Oh, his eyes immediately like open wide.
He claims it was a necromancer and a bunch of orcs.
Necromancer
I can't.
and a bunch of orcs.
Yeah, I can't really claim to, have much knowledge of such things, to be honest. But yes, he said that eventually there was a large flash of white light when all the orcs died, and he escaped.
Dol Guldur. And he ponders for a moment. Oh, of course. The old elven city. The south of Mirkwood. It's been abandoned for
Yes.
some time. What do you mean orcs? And he looks like very curiously at Kalar. Orcs.
necromancer.
To my knowledge, the south of Mirkwood is protected by Radagast. Radagast the Brown, perhaps you've heard of him. He's a wizard.
Yes, I've heard of him.
Ah.
Of course, most stories are more about the Grey Pilgrim than anything, but
Mithrandir. Tell me, Kalar, orcs, Dogwaldor, what else did you see in that pit? Necromancer, explain him to me. And Kalar, he begins kind of spouting the same thing. Green light, basically Shroud of Darkness. And Maeglin actually sits there fascinated by this. I'm going to have you make an insight check, Theodric.
okay. Where is my insight? There it is. That is a 12.
You look and you see there's a flash in his eyes. A small green flash. No. If there's evil in these woods, if there's a shadow in these woods, it must be eliminated. Tell me, Kalar, have these orcs, has this necromancer followed you? Theodric said that these orcs died with the flash of white light. But you seem like you are hunted. And my question is, I need to find out why. And Kalar, he looks and he's just... I don't know. You see, I was just a woodman. I had my home in Wilderland, South Wilderland. My family was abducted in the night. I was just a farmer, nothing more. But we were taken prisoner by orcs. They raided our homestead, burnt it to the ground. Please, you must believe me. I am not important in this world. You were kidnapped by orcs, clearly tortured and driven mad. I believe you. And it is just a threat. Orcs, goblins, creatures of shadow. That I and the wayward elves are seeking to rid our home of Mirkwood of. This information that you have. Tell me, how long have you been on the run? And you can see Kalar racking his brain for any kind of detail.
I've lost track of time. I don't know.
Valinith, I'm gonna have you make a perception check for me.
Oh my gosh. Perception. Please don't fail me now. 16. I'll take it.
Maeglin. Lord Maeglin. I can't remember. More days than I can remember. Time in this wood. Time in that wretched place. It draws on. The days blend. I don't know.
Theodric, what do you make of this man's story?
Well,
Make an insight check for me.
That is a 21.
21. He
It's a
seems-
natural 20 plus 1.
Oh. He seems as truthful as he possibly could be. In fact, what he is sharing you understand. You're brought back to a moment months ago where you were in the wood. Suddenly, the words that he was saying about Dol Guldur, about this elven fortress, begin to ring true. Everything that he's saying begins to form in your mind, and you remember flashes of a fortress half sunken beneath a bog, and a green light coming from the tower.
Well,
You thought it was a dream, but now you're starting to doubt that.
Well, Lord Maeglin, I do believe he's telling the truth. Quite a while ago, about 7 or 8 months ago, when I was on my way up to Esgaroth, I got lost in the southern reaches of the Mirkwood. And I do remember seeing a old elven fortress that was half sunk in a bog. And to be fair, I was lost at the time and I thought it must have been a bad dream, but it did glow with an eerie green light. I steered clear of it because I was alone and hungry and didn't really have any reason to check further. But if there wasn't necromancer or orcs, I cannot say.
Huh. And yet, I believe you. The shadow creeps indeed. Not just spiders within these woods. There's something sinister at work. He begins to twitch. Blink hard. Sinister at work. And immediately the curtains open and you see Caranthiel make her way in. Lord Maeglin. And she gives a small bow. Please, we must talk. Valineth, with your perception check.
Yeah.
You sit there and you wait. You've emerged from your tent as you kind of keep half an eye on Bori. You see, actually, Feanor has begun scanning kind of the borders of the camp around you.
Yeah.
And you can hear, just barely, just barely, a cry. It seems incredibly far off in the distance. Here, no. No. And then silence.
What direction? Is it ahead? Is it behind?
You have no idea.
Okay. Valineth walks over to Feanor and says, "Did you hear that, Feanor? Voices in the woods."
Feanor, you're just... Oh, can't hear ya.
All he said was like, "No, something isn't right."
I feel that too, my friend. Someone was calling for help, but it was so far in the distance and I couldn't tell the direction. I think we need to be on guard.
Should we alert the guards of the camp? I think even if they are not truly our allies, a larger force is better than just us.
It's a good idea. And Valineth actually goes back into the tent, grabs Bori, and actually brings him closer to the cart, on top of the cart. And then,
Bori's awake at this point. You shake him
Yeah.
awake and hey, what's going on?
there's danger, we need to go. And, brings him close.
Okay.
And,
Yeah. While he's doing that, Feanor's going to approach one of the closer guards and be like, "Do you feel that in the wood?"
And He looks out.
Something is
towards
wrong.
And he narrows his eyes. I see movement. What is that?
I've noticed that some of the guards are missing. One of the guards and one of the hunters. Haven't been brought into the medical tent.
No one should be gone. We're on break. We're here at
An alarm. Feanor is going to let out like a piercing whistle, like alert the camp more or less that something is wrong. Because
And
the instant he found out that
Baldur is like what is going on?
Yeah.
The animals immediately at attention. Yes.
Mm-hmm. But because the moment he's like, we're on guard, there's no one should be missing. It's like, I'm feeling this horrible feeling coming from this wood. Something's happened, and Valnus said he heard someone crying for help. It's like high alert time.
Yeah, Valnith grabs one of the bows with the quiver of arrows that's chilling on the cart. Like, I'm assuming it's one of the woodcraft that Feanor made, but gets ready to protect whatever he has to.
Theodric, make a perception check for me.
Feanor's also like, any guard, any elf that he's seeing, he's starting to like spit out stuff like, high alert, there's like people are missing, there's something in the woods, movement's been spotted, and he's just like barking out essentially orders to all these people.
And there's relative chaos too that's going on. It's organized chaos. They all are prepared for situations such as this, but it's abrupt. Yes, Theodric.
I got a 10.
10. As Cranthiel makes her way in and does that, you hear this piercing whistle, and all of a sudden, you hear a scream, and it grows closer, and it grows closer, and you can't see what's happening, but the rest of you, Feanor, Valnith, you standing outside on the elf path, you see an elf, the hunter that had gone missing. He runs. There's webs all over him. And he basically finds his way and launches himself onto the elf path, and the webs that are around him pull him back into the forest. No! As he just gets dragged away, and you can hear a large groan in the trees. And immediately you're alerted to the sound of chittering in every direction. North, above, and from the south.
Are the horses at the cart?
Yeah, so basically the ponies have been tied up and they are they're there. Baradarok has been unsaddled, but he has basically just been kind of laying and sleeping, but obviously the whistle woke him up and he's just like kind of a little bit confused. Actually looking for Theodric. Theodric, as you are in this tent, you see immediately Maeglin stand up, and he pulls out 2 swords from the side of his, the side of his hips. And he says, "What is that? What is that?" And he cuts a hole, basically through the tent to be able to see, and you can see that there are a number of spiders that have begun to emerge onto the elf path. All of them look to be addercocks, very familiar, and you can see that a bunch of the guards kind of at command take up their bows and begin firing, basically knocking off some of these, and they begin to scatter a little bit into the forest, but you can hear the sound of spiders beginning to crawl up and around. I'm going to have each of you make wisdom saving throws for me.
I got a 16.
Okay.
I got a 12.
Okay.
15 for Valnith.
Fire on the path! Bring whatever lanterns, whatever oil we have, make a line!
Valnith is shooting arrows in every which
Like-
way.
I found you. A feast fit for a king. And immediately, boom.
This enormous spider breaks out onto the path, crushing trees in its wake. As you see, Maeglin begins calling, Everybody, get the caravan out of here! And you see a number of elves go up in order to confront with spears. And this enormous spider goes and just takes one of its legs and swipes one of the elves aside, and it goes flying into a tree, and he falls silent. The other one, he basically lunges upon and drags under and begins essentially sucking the essence out of him. The other one just like backing up as essentially everybody is in a state of panic. There's spiders coming from all directions onto the path. The rest of the elves are beginning to fight off with their spears, with their weapons, whatever they have immediately on them. Very skillfully, they're fighting them off, but not for long.
Feanor, being like at the cart, is scanning. I want to see if I can see Valneth, Boulder, Belgo, Theodric. Like, I want to see if I can see the people that I care about, like Caranthiel.
Valneth at the cart, yeah. So.
Yeah.
All of them are so Valineth, Belgo, and Baldur. They're like pretty close to you at the cart. You don't quite see Theodric or Caranthiel, but you see emerging Maeglin with weapons drawn as he just begins, boom, boom, skillfully chopping off legs of spiders and like piercing them through, and like his combat style is unmatched. He's just cleaving through spiders like nobody's business as he just begins fighting. And he calls back, Feanor, get the cart out of here! You are of the utmost importance right now! Taladir, lead them away! Lead them away! And Taladir, he's and you see that he's currently in combat with the spider, and he has a spear, and he brings it, like, thrusts it off and stabs. There's just a moment for you to be able to make for the cart in order to go. It's up to you guys.
Yeah, Valneth get on the cart. He's actually gonna start digging through the things, look for Jalen's things, is what he's gonna look for.
Basically, what Feanor is going to do is he is going to immediately look for Theodric's sword, his own spear, and he is going to jump on Barodarok.
Make an investigation check.
And Theodric is sprinting towards the caravan.
Oh, the whole
as
thing
well.
is that he was going to come and find you with Barodarok if the cart had to move. Yeah, I got a 16 for my investigation.
You're able to find everything, and actually you see Theodric running out of the tent with Caranthiel in tow. You leap on Barodarok, and you make your way over pretty skillfully. Barodarok sees Theodric and almost like nervously tries to like buck you off Feanor in favor of Theodric.
Feanor's just going to like put his arm down to like let Theodric grab it, and he's going to pull him up onto the horse.
Absolutely.
And he's going to yell to Caranthiel, "Get to the cart now!" And then going to like.
And she does. She looks panicked, but she does follow direction, and as she books it. At this point, Baldur has made his way up onto the cart, and Belgo is in the back with the man and actually Bori as well. And Taladir says, "Well, you heard them. Go, make haste!" And he begins running alongside of the cart in front of you as he keeps turning around, and you can see that, like, internally he's, like, very conflicted. Theodric, you make your way up beside him as you almost, like, lead this cart forward. And Taladir, he looks, and just this absolute look of abject fear just has accompanied his face, and he steadies himself and says, "I'll meet you at the gate. The forest gate. A day and a half from here. We'll meet you there. Go! And he goes ahead and he joins the rest of the group as you begin to see behind Caranthiel. She kind of is sitting in the back of the cart as you... Essentially, this cart makes its way away. Maeglin, he has these swords drawn, and he's fighting, and immediately he looks up at this giant spider. "Towler, I've been looking for you." And he goes and he charges in, along with actually Kalithir and Taladir coming up from the rear. And the fight is intense. They're able to block, and he's able to get a couple stabs in, but immediately Taller, boom, easily knocks Megalyn aside. And Cranthiel, she jumps off and grabbing one of the spears and says, Feanor, I'll find you. I promise. And she runs back towards the combat. Spiders on every side are beginning to circle all of the elves off as you begin looking at these ponies going at full trot, full gallop, going in the opposite direction.
Did Valineth find Jalen's backpack and things?
Yeah, everything is on the cart.
He's gonna reach in and thinking about that firework and grab it and look at it and start reading the inscription on it. And he doesn't know what to do because he doesn't see a fuse or anything, but he holds it close to his heart and he says, I don't know if you can hear me now, Jalen. We need your help. And clutches it, basically.
You hold it to your chest and nothing immediately happens. You feel a warmth though coming from inside, and immediately you begin to feel this sense of peace. In fact, all of you do. You can remove all points of exhaustion, heal all points of HP. And for the next 3 days, you will be able to go at double pace without needing the opportunity for any kind of break.
With Caranthiel, like, she's picked up a spear and tried to run around.
She already
Feanor, that's what I'm saying, like, as this is happening, he's like, all he's thinking is like, I can't lose this person I care about again, and he's going to blow his deer whistle, which he has just pulled from amongst everything that's on the ground.
Yeah, absolutely. You do so. I'm gonna have you make an animal handling check for me. This is after the fireworks, so I don't think you have any points of exhaustion, so...
Yeah. A 7.
7. You blow this, and in the combat, in the combat that ensues, you don't see him immediately, and about a minute or two passes as Cranthiel makes her way into the front lines, and then out of the brush, you've completely lost sight of the elves. Nim, he breaks his way through. He looks battered. He's got cuts all over him. He has not just been lurking within the shadows. He has also been fighting for his life out in the bush. But he has somewhat kept pace with you, and he is there, and he bids you to jump on.
Yeah, I do, and Feanor is going to look at everyone, and he is going to probably looking at Theodric atop Rodrock. Keep them safe. And he is going to turn and dive back into the fray.
You do so, Feanor. And as basically the rest of you continue on forward, these horses have picked up double speed, or these ponies have picked up double speed, as you've begun to make your way towards the forest gate. Feanor, you make your way backwards to find that these elves are in a circle. Probably a good 10 of them have succumbed to the winds of the spiders, and they are completely surrounded. You actually see Megalyn pretty much leading the elves, fighting off against Savage Taller. He's made his way upside down in the trees, and he is spitting what looks to be webs down upon the rest of the party. And Megalyn calls, "No! Cut those binds! Don't let him stop our movements!" And they all just begin focusing on cutting the webs that are beginning to fall down around them. You come up from the back and you see that Cranthiel is in the middle, and she has her spear held up. She is not much of a fighter from what you remember, but she looks and she's like very determined. She is standing by the side of Megalyn as he begins fighting off Towler. Towler jumps down upon him and pins him to the ground and just sneers in his face.
Can I ram Savage Taller with Nim?
Yes, go ahead and make an attack roll. A horns attack roll.
Okay, I just gotta quickly pull that back up.
In the meantime,
An elf, you won't fill my belly, but the lot of you will. Let me consume. I can feel your fear.
and with that, just pinned down, you see these blades kind of whirling out as he's attempting to slice open this spider's stomach. Corinthiel, she lunges forward and attempts to thrust her spear. Feanor, do you have a roll result for me?
Yes, I'm sorry, I'm just looking at what my modifiers are. I got a 24.
24.
I'm on Barada Rock with Feanor, aren't I?
No, not with
no,
Feanor.
I jumped off. I went into the cart after I got you.
That's
While I was traveling, picked up my whistle, got on Nim, and just booked it. So you're
Nim
still with the cart.
lunges over the top and spears Savage Taller with his horns. I'm gonna have you make an attack roll for that. A damage roll.
Yeah, yeah.
So, I'm on the card, am I?
You're on Barada Rock.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, it deals 7 damage.
7 damage. Boom! These horns pierce his eyes, and there's these piercing.
Oh wait, sorry, because I did charge him. It does 11 damage,
Sweet.
and he needs to. Oh wait, no, he's too big to.
He's monstrous. He's huge.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, you pierce him like directly in his face, and boom! It just enough to be able to get him off top of Maeglin. And Maeglin says, "What are you doing? Go back with the cart!" And he throws down and he picks up a spear and he shoves it into Towler and just rips open, and you see all this blood fall out. And Towler just laughs and he begins to jump forward. He is targeting Nim at this point. I'm gonna have you make a dexterity saving throw using Nim's.
Yep. Okay. A 10.
10. Boom! Basically these forearms pin Nim down, and just completely on the side, your leg gets crushed underneath Nim, and you take 8 points of bludgeoning damage as you're crushed beneath, as you see this enormous spider, the size of a small house, begin to crawl up on top of you.
Yes. Yes. I can sense your fear. It's delicious.
And he begins
Feanor's gonna call out and
chomping
Maeglin.
down. He chomps down on Nim, and you can hear the guttural scream of Nim, and you can feel the weight just press down on top of you. Nim is going to receive 10 points of piercing damage. And he, again, lets out this scream as it begins attempting to feast on him, to suck out basically any remnants of him on the spot. Corinthiel, she jumps in, and with her spear, she begins poking viciously. First attack. By the way, I'm going to have you roll for initiative.
Yep.
First attack. Does not hit, as she goes, it basically is able to dodge, like, it whacks it away with, like, one of its feelers, and she goes, no, and she jumps down and begins to try to start pulling you out from underneath Feanor. Which is going to bring us actually to Taladir's turn. So Taladir, he comes in and he's wielding his spear as well. He looks terrified, but he says, "For Lord Maeglin!" And he jumps through and attempts to spear a Savage Taller as well. He is going to hit, and he's going to take 6 points of piercing damages. Another poke at him.
Okay.
Keylethir as well.
I have to get going. I've got work in the morning. I'm sorry to cut it short.
No worries.
Good luck, everyone. I'll see you all next week.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. We appreciate you for sticking around. But
good.
Calathir, he jumps in and he takes essentially like his bow and he shoots up and he hits for 6 points of piercing damage. And this spider does not seem to be relenting. And then immediately, what was your roll?
My initiative was a 6.
Immediately you see as before one last blow strikes Nim, you see Magellan stand up essentially on top of Nim and says, "No!" And he goes and he takes his spear and he jumps full-fledged into the beast, sinking his spear deeper and deeper as his basically body starts to be consumed by the large gaping maw of this giant spider, deeper and deeper. And from there, we're gonna jump over to the rest of the party.
Yeah, Valinith is galloping, and he's doing his best to try to keep Belgo, Balder. He doesn't really, I guess, have to worry about what's his name, the dwarf. Theodric too. Yeah, Bori. That really has to worry about him. He's hardy stuff. But just trying to keep them calm and trying to keep them like down in the cart, out of the way, so that spiders don't potentially pick them up.
Yes.
I have a question.
Yes.
Is Rufus in the car?
Oh yeah, Rufus is in the cart for sure.
I forgot about Rufus.
Okay.
Yeah.
I forgot about Rufus. Thanks for reminding us.
He's there. No worries.
Okay.
No worries. Yeah, you continue to make your way, blinding speed, as you leave behind Feanor and the rest of the Wayward Elves. This is strange. You have no idea why, but the horses that are in front of you, Baradarok, the ponies, you all have this overwhelming sense of hope, but at the same time, you also realize that this forest has claimed too much from you, and so a deep sense of sorrow begins to fall. The further that you go from your companion. But these ponies keep going as if driven by something otherworldly. About a day passes. You keep going. You're able to feed everybody on the cart. Nobody has reached back with you, and eventually you find your way to the forest gate. It is a brisk evening, but immediately, for the first time, you see light. The light of the moon, the light of the stars. This fills your lungs, a welcoming sign. And Baldur, he turns to the group of you and says, "I don't know about you, but I'm not waiting for our captors to come get us again. We make our way south. Feanor will know where to find us. Right?"
Valinith tears a page out of his diary, and as they're passing by the gate, sticks it with an arrow onto the gate, with a note that says, "We're heading south." And that's all it says. And signed V. It's just a V on it. So
"We are to go into the land of the Beornings. And there, hopefully we will find some respite." You begin to venture your way south. About a day passes. And immediately you come upon a grove. And in this grove, you see where the river trickles down from Mirkwood and crosses underneath a small stone bridge. A small inn stands before you. It's quaint, but it's very homey. The river continues on, assumedly to the great river, the Anduin. But you cross over, and you feel a sense of safety for the first time. The caravan stops. You leave on foot, and you enter through the doors of this inn. And immediately presented before you, joyous laughter, for what seems like years, fills your ears and fills the place. Theodric, Belgo, Baldur, and Valineth, you make your way into this tavern, disheveled, weary from your travels. You see hobbits, a number of them, serving.
See, Theodric, I told you. Look.
And you see sitting at a far table a female hobbit. She's sipping some tea, and she looks up to you. And before she can say anything, the hobbit at the counter says, "Oh, welcome to the Easterly Inn. Welcome, friends. Come one, come all. Wow, I haven't seen you around here." And he makes his way over and, again, like, looks like a child. And he begins ushering you in. "Oh, we have a splendid table right by the window. Beautiful views of our pasture. Come, 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 come. You look like you've been traveling for quite some time. Well, we have some large person-sized rooms to be able to accommodate your needs. Oh, I see that you don't have any hobbits in your party. Well, we have hobbit quarters, if that's more comfortable, if you do have any. Anyways, come sit down. My name is Dodie. At least that's what my friends call me. Dodie Brandybuck. Come, enjoy." And the whole time you see this female hobbit just kind of looking at you, cracking a soft smile. Enter our new character.
Yeah, so just to give you a little bit more of a rounded appearance to her, she has these like really tight coiled curls that are pinned up and back from her face. And she's wearing this quite cute, like it looks to be handmade, but it's quite well made, little dress. And she is adorned with crystal necklaces and bracelets, and she goes over and you see that she is not wearing any shoes on her feet, but she goes over to your table and she just says, "You look like you've been on quite a journey."
Oh, you can say that again. Nice. Pleasure to meet your acquaintance. My name is Valineth, and these are my compatriots. We have Theodric here. See, I told you they're real. Look. And
Theodric
and
looks
then-
Sorry.
aghast, like,
Yes.
Just one at a time.
Mhm.
Your name is Valineth, and she offers up her hands to you in like this sort of gesture.
Does Valineth recognize a gesture like this, or does he have no clue what it
She is offering her hands to you
Oh, gotcha.
to like take her hands. in
Okay,
yours.
and Valineth does like this.
Okay. She grips your hands in like this soft but very firm and almost comforting touch, and you can like feel the calluses on her hands.
Yeah.
She just grips you like very reassuringly almost.
Mm.
She says, "What was your name?"
And Valineth kind of taken aback by this. He hasn't had the gentle touch of anything in quite some time. And he thinks back to his days in Rivendell as a child. I mean, a child elf at the time, but a child. And he thinks back to his mother and her holding his hands when all seemed broken and lost at the time. And Valineth smiles at this hobbit girl and says, "The pleasure's all mine. My name is Valineth, son of Morbeth. I hail from the fair city of Rivendell, Eladrius. Pleasure to meet your acquaintance. What would your name be, young lady?"
Valineth, son of Morbeth. It is a joy to meet you. I am Jessamine Sackville Baggins.
Baggins. Why?
Yes,
It seems like we may be in for an adventure.
Oh no, not you two. She like lets go of your hands at this point.
No, I just, of course, with a name like Baggins, one of the most important hobbits, Bilbo. I mean, he's family, I'm sure, but that's another story. That's another day. I'm sure you don't want
That
to
is
talk about
another
your
story.
uncle. Nice to meet you,
And
Jessamine.
she will. It is joy to meet you.
Mm.
And she will move on to the next person sitting at the table and exchange the same gesture of asking for them their full name.
Wonderful.
Just saying that it's a joy to make their acquaintance.
And one by one, I will. I forgot to mention one thing, Valineth.
Mm.
Yes.
As you left the forest gate, you immediately realized that with the company that you had, you are one individual short. You are missing a dwarf. There is no Bori to be found.
Oh,
As
well,
if
I'm not
disappearing from magic. Just FYI.
Yeah. Valineth is just at the time he's gonna take notice of this, but
Mhm.
by this point he's forgotten about this.
Yeah. And everyone
Yeah.
introduces themselves actually to you as
Mm.
well. Jessamine and
Jessamine.
Jessamine. Yes, Jessamine.
But my friends call me Jess.
Jess. Yes, they're all. We're gonna save especially like Theodric's introduction for
Oh, yeah.
the next session,
Oh,
and
yeah.
we're gonna go ahead and
Definitely.
end our session.
That's
there
just
at
so
the
that's
Easterly.
just a wonderful name.
God
Oh,
damn it,
thank you.
Feanor, why do I have to play him that way?
okay though.
Why do
It's
I
okay,
do
though.
these stupid things?
I'm encouraged because what's his name? The dwarf's coming to save you, buddy.
Look, he's a good guy, but he's a whittler. Like,
Yeah, he wasn't the brawn of the party.
My lord.
Yeah, but no, it's like I'm like, oh no, why am I doing this? But I'm like, yes.
You have
this is what
to,
he
I
would
get
do.
it.
Literally me though.
I will say though, you have 2 weeks to mull this over since we won't be having Adventures in Middle Earth next week. So
Yeah, I'll come back and be like, guess who killed Savage Taller? It was Maggie. Well, I was there.
yo,
What?
freaking Savage Taller. What the heck? So who, Kyle? Who
Yeah,
is this
that's pretty
Savage
cool.
Taller? He's like a brother or sister to Shelob, right? Or something.
Yes.
Oh my
One
gosh.
of the spawns
Oh,
of
big
Shelob.
boy.
Oh my gosh.
Hmm.
Big boy.
Okay.
Yes. With that, we're actually not going to go through and talk each one of you about your
it's too
experiences.
late.
We'll save that for next time that we do gather. But a few announcements before we do go. Again, as Dain had mentioned, next week we do not have Adventures in Middle Earth. Dain and I will be indisposed, and because of that, we're going to take a week off break. Let this all mull over. Think of what's going on. Very excited to see what ends up happening. I'm very excited to see your image change from dead to a Jessamine or Jess. And yeah, it's going to be great. Make sure to check out Daisnaki. They're a Japanese sweet luxury treats company. They sell delicious stuff. I was actually eating the last of my Daisnaki stuff during this, so that was fun. Delicious. Yeah, make sure to say that Fantasy Forge at checkout sent you, and that'll be good. And then other streams this week, we have Everlast this weekend, and then tomorrow Dain will also be streaming. But I'm going to go ahead and leave you guys here because it is super duper late. About an hour later, I was like, we had to push through. So
Yeah.
we did it.
It was
We
really
finally
good.
introduced our
Appreciate
new
it.
character, and let's see if Feanor lives. But without further ado,
That's not gonna. Yeah.
it's not looking good.
Yeah.
But without further ado, we're going to go ahead and leave you guys there. And may the road go ever onward and onward. You guys have a good one. Bye.